Report. Latest update. Blue team started with 30 operatives. 12 have been eliminated. Red team, casualties. 0. Inside the surveillance room, silence reigned after the monitor's report. The war games had barely begun, yet Blue team had already lost nearly half its strength. But the casualty count wasn't the main point of contention. It was Leo Evans's performance. It was simply absurd. Colonel Stone's face was a mask of disbelief. He hadn't yet recovered from the shock. On the other hand, Commander Hayes and General George Evans were beaming with delight. Hayes, in particular, had only 2 words running through his mind: in the bag. It was all in the bag. If it didn't take first place in the military war games now, he'd eat his own boots. No, this is impossible, Colonel Stone muttered, looking like he'd lost his soul. Leo Evans is cheating. He has to be cheating. No one can snipe from that distance. Even Captain Invincible Zhao couldn't make those shots. Stone, Commander Hayes scolded gently. Calm down. General Evans glanced at Stone, grinning ear to ear but remaining silent. Weren't you confident just a minute ago? The game just started, and you're already falling apart? Young people these days. Always so impetuous. General Evans sighed theatrically, then added, "Oh, my apologies. I didn't mean you, Colonel Stone. I was talking about that brat, Leo. We're all from the same military district. He has no sense of restraint. Doesn't know how to save face for his elders. Don't worry, Colonel Stone. I'll teach him a lesson later." The expression on George Evans's face could only be described as smug satisfaction. Stone ground his teeth, staring wordlessly at the main screen, silently praying. "Nighthawk, everything depends on you." As if hearing Stone's internal plea, Nighthawk, currently moving through the dense forest, suddenly froze. His 2 squad mates immediately halted behind him. "What's wrong, Captain?" "Something's off." Nighthawk checked the tactical watch on his wrist. A significant amount of time had passed since the operation began. Logically, the Vanguard squads should have already penetrated the red zone. Why was there no noise? No gunfire? An ominous feeling grew in his chest. Nighthawk turned back sharply. "Radio Squad 8. One of his teammates immediately keyed his comms. "Squad 8, come in." Silence. Even after several seconds, there was no response. Nighthawk's expression darkened instantly. "Try Squad 9. Squad 6. Squad 10. After cycling through all the frequencies, the hearts of the 3 men sank to rock bottom, for squads were completely unreachable. Did they run into Leo Evans and get eliminated? One teammate guessed. No, absolutely impossible. Nighthawk shook his head decisively. Those 4 squads infiltrated the red zone from 4 different directions. They're miles apart. Even if Leo knew their exact coordinates, he couldn't possibly neutralize all of them in such a short window of time. Something disadvantageous has happened to us. We can't advance until we figure it out. This is too weird. Nighthawk looked grim. He could accept the others failing, but Squad 6 was led by Zeke Foam. Even Zeke had been taken out silently, without firing a signal flare. What kind of tactics was Leo using? Nighthawk immediately ruled out Lieutenant Sarge Sue and the others. They didn't have the skill for this. Leaning against a tree, he pinched the bridge of his nose, feeling immense pressure. This was a nightmare start. In stark contrast, the atmosphere on Leo's side was like a vacation. Private Cloud, remember to bring more decks of cards next time. 2 decks aren't enough for everyone. Yeah, and bring more snacks and sodas. Stock up for Captain Leo. What do you guys think Colonel Stone's face looks like right now? I'm more curious about Nighthawk's face. Someone record it later. I want to watch it every morning for motivation. Captain Leo, those shots earlier were too cool. Can you teach me? Get out of here. You're a scout. What do you need with sniper training? Would you even understand the physics? Exactly. Besides, this stuff requires talent. Like Captain Leo has, or like I have. Give me a break. Your sniping skills are a fart in the wind compared to the captain. The group huddled together, chatting nonsense. To avoid the surveillance cameras catching them playing Texas Hold'em, they had specifically found a blind spot in a corner to hide. One could only wonder how Commander Hayes would feel knowing the stealth techniques taught by the military were being used to hide illicit gambling. Meanwhile, Leo Evans was sitting on a large boulder, his sniper rifle resting on his shoulder, gazing into the distance. The breeze ruffled his hair, and his eyes held a desolate look of invincibility. Yes, that's the vibe. Leo held the pose while Sarge Sue, holding a phone, adjusted angles constantly, the shutter clicking away. "Captain, turn your head a little to the left. Yes, yes, yes. Give me a little more emotion. Make your eyes look lonelier, more tragic. Perfect. That's it. Perfect, absolutely perfect." After snapping several photos, Sarge Sue handed the phone to Leo. Captain, how's my photography? I'm not bragging, but I used to be a pro. The girls on the red team always ask me to take their pictures. Leo checked the photos, his eyes lighting up. He immediately selected the best ones and posted them to his social feed. Caption: checking in at the North Point Military District Back Mountain Base. Sunglasses emoji. It was an instinct carved into his bones. The world was big, but getting likes on social media was bigger. It was a rare trip. How could he not take photos? Soon, comments and replies flooded in. David Evans, Carol Evans, Major Griffin, Ava Reed. I'm dying of work here, and you have time to act like a tourist. Ethan Sia. What are you pretending for? Dylan Miller. The scenery is beautiful. The person, not so much. The Reed family group. Our son-in-law looks explosive. Various others. Leo looked at his phone, the corners of his mouth lifting slightly. He shoved the phone back into his pocket and stretched lazily. He had already sent the squads that poked their heads out packing. The rest were likely still hiding in the distance. Keep watch. Let me know when they enter range. You got it, Captain. Sarge Sue held his binoculars, standing straight as a ramrod. Meanwhile, the people in the surveillance room watched the entire process of Leo posting to social media on the big screen. They fell into a deep, profound silence once again. Preposterous. Simply preposterous. Colonel Stone finally snapped, pointing a trembling finger at the big screen. What does this guy think this competition is? A game of house for children. He has no respect for the military and absolutely no respect for his opponent, Nighthawk. Stone ranted endlessly about Leo's behavior. General George Evans pulled out his phone and silently liked Leo's post. Commander Hayes rubbed his temples. Leo's behavior was indeed unbecoming. But punish him for it? Unlikely. There were too many unruly characters in the military. Who didn't have quirks? It just seemed that the Evans family had a few more quirks than most. Well, given the situation, we can't interfere, Hayes said helplessly. We'll correct their conduct after the exercise concludes. Stone's voice was hoarse. That's it? Nothing else. Leo is a rookie, after all, Hayes said with heavy meaning. We shouldn't be too harsh on him. Stone nearly coughed up blood. He's a rookie, so don't be harsh. When I was a rookie, nobody cut me any slack. You guys aren't even trying to hide the favoritism anymore, are you? Stone's heart sank. He looked at the screen with resignation. He knew that, given the current situation, Nighthawk's chances of winning were slim to none. The opponent had hacks. How do you play against that? Stone just hoped the loss wouldn't be too embarrassing. If they got wiped out completely, they'd become a laughingstock. Meanwhile, Nighthawk's internal pressure was no less than Stone's. Because 4 squads had been silently sacrificed, he was afraid to make a move. Captain, waiting isn't the answer. Yeah, Captain. If time runs out and we haven't captured the commander's badge, we lose anyway. Hearing his teammates, Nighthawk knew they couldn't continue like this. He took a deep breath. Radio the other squads. Tell them to hold their positions. The 3 of us will push forward. Nighthawk made a decisive choice. At this point, they had to go all in. Sending others to test the waters would only increase casualties. Their only chance of survival lay in him leading a reconnaissance push personally. Atop the ridge, Sarge Sue scanned the area with binoculars. Suddenly, he paused, focusing intently in one direction. Something's wrong over there. Sue frowned, not daring to blink, staring at the spot where he saw movement. After a long while, just as his eyes were drying out, several figures flashed through the brush. Gotching! Sarge Sue shouted excitedly without looking back. Captain, targets acquired. How many? Leo asked. Looks like 3. They're hiding well. I can only track their general position. Leo picked up his sniper rifle and walked over. Coordinates? East, bearing 335. Leo immediately went prone, looking through the scope in the direction Sue indicated. His dynamic visual acuity was several levels higher than Sue's. He quickly locked onto the 3 figures. Whoa! Nighthawk came personally. Leo was surprised. He hadn't expected Nighthawk to show up this quickly. The guy was carrying the commander's badge. If he died, it was game over. Bold move. Nighthawk. Sue was startled. He hadn't expected the enemy leader to be in the vanguard. Captain, if you take him out, don't we win? Sue asked excitedly. However, Leo shook his head. Can't take him. He's too alert right now. At this distance, the probability of sniping him is low. He has plenty of time to react. Sue boding get. So what we do? Wait for him to get closer. Leo stood up and cracked his neck. Since Nighthawk is here, it means everyone else is holed up in their base. And since we know Nighthawk's movements, if he can come to us, why can't we go to him? Sue was stunned for a moment, then stammered, Captain, you mean? While Nighthawk is away, we circle around and steal their base. Correct. Leo nodded, a ruthless expression on his face. I said total annihilation, and I meant total annihilation. I'm going to give Nighthawk PTSD today. I want him to be a general without an army. The squad felt goosebumps rise on their arms, actively pitying Nighthawk. Of all people to provoke, why'd it have to be this guy? Was this something a human being would do? Sarge, keep a few men here to watch Nighthawk. Track his every move. Private Cloud, take the rest and follow me. We're infiltrating the blue zone. We're stealing their home. Yes, sir. The squad responded in unison, looking exhilarated, as if they had never done anything this thrilling before. What is Leo doing? Commander Hayes watched Leo's movements with confusion. They occupy the high ground. If they just play it safe, victory is assured. Why withdraw now? The observers were baffled. However, when they realized Leo's projected path, their expressions turned bizarre. Colonel Stone's face, in particular, turned a sickly shade of green. Is he planning to bypass Nighthawk and hit their base? Hayes's mouth twitched. This kid has a black heart, doesn't he? From their perspective, Nighthawk had finally worked up the courage to make a desperate push, and Leo was just ignoring him to go raid his house. That was just inhumane. Nighthawk's nerves were pulled tight, terrified that one wrong move would end the game. Meanwhile, Leo was quietly leading his men into the blue zone. General Evans chuckled. All warfare is based on deception. Leo has completely grasped Nighthawk's psychology and controlled the board. The outcome is decided. Stone remained silent. He knew that from the beginning, Nighthawk had been led by the nose. The psychological pressure on both sides wasn't even in the same league. And on the battlefield, excessive pressure led to mistakes. Mistakes were fatal, not even in the same league. Stone felt a bitter taste in his mouth. He knew he had lost, but he couldn't accept losing in such a baffling manner. In the dense forest, Nighthawk scanned his surroundings with vigilant eyes, moving forward with extreme caution. Keep it quiet. Don't make any loud noises. Stay sharp, Nighthawk whispered. Sweat dripped from his forehead, his breathing heavy. Every second he spent in the red zone increased the pressure. He had no idea what methods the enemy would use to ambush them. On the other side, Leo had led Private Cloud and the others deep into the blue zone. Their objective was clear, the blue base HQ. Captain, is it really okay to move this openly? Private Cloud couldn't help but ask. They probably left 5 squads to guard the base. What if we get spotted? What are you afraid of? Leo said, nonchalantly. I need them to spot us. I have a plan to catch them all in one net. Before anyone could ask what the brilliant plan was, Leo raised a hand to cut them off. Wait here. I'll be right back. With that, Leo ran off in a specific direction based on his memory of the map, leaving his squad standing there, looking at each other in confusion. Soon, Leo arrived at a location where 3 figures stood, looking utterly defeated. Oh, Leo Evans. Zeke Foam saw the arrival and looked confused. What are you doing here? Shut up. You're dead. Dead men don't talk. Leo cut him off before he could finish. Then he extended a hand towards Zeke. Hand over the radio. Zeke, hurry up. I killed you. The loot is mine. Give me the radio, Leo urged. Zeke's face flushed red. This was bullying, plain and simple. It was intolerable. Huffing with a red face, he reluctantly handed over his tactical radio. Leo, remember this. Next time. Thanks, bye. Before Zeke could finish his threat, Leo turned and bolted, disappearing into the woods. Zeke punched the air in frustration. Leo held Zeke's radio, the corners of his mouth curling up. Captain, where did you go? Private Cloud asked as Leo returned, noticing the extra radio. That doesn't look like our gear. Yeah, stripped it off a corpse just now, Leo replied. The squad looked confused. Corpse? All right, don't ask questions. Move out. Leo waved his hand, leading the team forward. Behind him, someone whispered to Private Cloud. Cloud, what exactly is the captain doing? Don't ask me, I don't know. Private Cloud replied coolly without looking back. Just remember, follow Captain Leo blindly. No thinking required. What does that mean? I still don't get it. It means throw your brain away. Oh, got it. As time passed, under the gaze of the surveillance screens, Nighthawk continued deeper into the red zone, while Leo closed in on the blue base. Just as everyone wondered what Leo's next move was, he suddenly stopped. This should be close enough. Leo cleared his throat. Then, under everyone's watchful eyes, he pulled out Zeke's radio. To the squad's bewilderment, Leo began to speak, but the voice that came out wasn't his own. It was Nighthawk's voice. All units, Retreat to base immediately. I've discovered Leo Evans's position. We cannot act rashly. We need a new plan. I repeat, all units return to base immediately. Barely a moment after he finished speaking, responses crackled over the radio. Squad 3 copies, returning to base. Squad 2 copies. Squad 5 copies. Private Cloud and the others stared, dumbfounded. You can do that. He was planning to gather everyone at their HQ and wipe them out in one go. Ruthless. At that moment, the most confused person was Nighthawk, deep in the red zone. He stared blankly at his radio, his mind blank. Just now, was that me talking? He looked at his 2 teammates, who wore equally blank expressions. Quickly, Nighthawk realized what was happening. It's Leo. It has to be Leo. He immediately grabbed his radio and roared. All units, hold your positions. The person speaking is Leo Evans. It's not me. Do not go to the base. It's a trap. Hardly had Nighthawk finished speaking when the radio broadcast that familiar voice again. Damn it. Leo, you actually took Zeke's radio? Don't trust him. Leo can mimic voices. He's impersonating me. Don't listen to him. Get back to base. I'm retreating right now. For a moment, everyone on the blue team was confused. 2 Nighthawks? Which one was real? They hadn't set a passcode before leaving. How were they supposed to tell them apart? Just as they were wavering, Leo spoke again. He is the fake. Our base is the safest place. Why wouldn't I want you to go back? Regardless, return to HQ first. Leo Evans couldn't possibly assault our base. The troops listened and thought, that makes sense. How could Leo be at our base? The one telling us not to go back must be the fake Nighthawk. The real Nighthawk realized the situation was foobar. Plus, his teammates weren't responding to him, meaning they likely thought he was the fake. Those pig brains. Nighthawk cursed silently. Judging by the situation, Leo was definitely no longer in the red zone. While frantically leading his men back, Nighthawk tried to prove his identity over the radio. But Leo kept talking, leaving him no gaps to interject. What angered him more was that Leo started playing both roles, having a blast talking to himself. Nighthawk, I didn't expect you to see through that. Oomph. Leo, a trick like this could never fool my teammates. Fine, I'll give you a chance. Go back to your base, make a plan, and then come fight me. Don't get cocky. This time, I will make you lose. Private Cloud and the others watched Leo, who seemed to be suffering from schizophrenia, and shook their heads in awe. He was playing Nighthawk like a fiddle. The psychological warfare was brutal. How were they supposed to fight this? For a moment, Private Cloud actually felt sympathy for Nighthawk. Blue Base HQ. Several squads trickled back in. Seeing everyone present except Nighthawk, someone asked, "Where's the captain? Why isn't he back yet? Should be soon, right? The captain went out further than us. Let's wait a bit." However, just as they lowered their guard, preparing to wait for Nighthawk to discuss new tactics, a completely unfamiliar voice suddenly sounded in their ears. "No need to wait for him. You guys can go on ahead." Instantly, everyone startled like frightened rabbits. Who? The answer was a simulation round hitting a soldier square in the chest. Immediately, Leo and his squad emerged from cover, bullets whistling through the air. Crap! Ambush! Why are they here? We've been had. In a single encounter, the 5 blue squads that had returned to base were wiped out. Leo single-handedly took out 3 squads. Private Cloud and the team handled the other 2. Sorry about that, fellas. Private Cloud grinned at the group of corpses before him. We've got this win in the bag. The blue soldiers looked furious, wanting to shout insults, but Private Cloud quickly interjected. Hey, your corpses now. No talking. If this were a real battlefield, you'd be gone. Don't worry, come find me after we get back, and I'll teach you a few moves. Try not to lose so badly next time. Private Cloud thumped his chest, looking magnanimous, but every word was a dagger to the heart. And the worst part was, they couldn't say a word back. They could only stand there, fuming. Watching Private Cloud's smug face, they secretly swore to train themselves to death when they got back just to regain their dignity. Meanwhile, Leo picked up the radio again. He coughed lightly, then spoke in his own voice. Testing. Calling Captain Nighthawk. Calling Captain Nighthawk. Come in, Captain Nighthawk. Beside him, the blue team corpses had strange expressions. Others might not know, but they knew Nighthawk hated being called by his full code name like that. They usually just called him Captain. Soon, Nighthawk's gritted teeth voice came over the radio. Leo, what did you do to them? Relax, they're alive and well. Just eliminated, Leo said with a smile, looking at the crowd in front of him. Captain Nighthawk, would you like to hand over the commander's badge and surrender? Or do you want to continue a futile resistance with your 2 remaining teammates? Before Nighthawk could answer, Leo added mockingly. My suggestion? You should just surrender. There's no shame in losing to me. If you keep going, your squad faces total annihilation. And on my side, we haven't taken a single casualty. A 0-30 record getting out wouldn't look good, would it? If Private Cloud was simple mockery, Leo was conducting psychological execution. Every word sounded like it was for Nighthawk's benefit, but every word was a knife twisting in his heart. On the other end, Nighthawk was silent for a long time before speaking. Leo, Captain, don't give up. Suddenly, one of the dead soldiers couldn't hold back anymore. He roared, Captain, we will never surrender. Yeah, so what if we're wiped out? Fight them to the end. We lost the game, but we won't lose our backbone. Captain, don't surrender. Captain. As their roars grew louder, Private Cloud's expression turned awkward. He sidled up to Leo and whispered, Captain, why do I feel like we're the villains here? Leo was also confused. You asked me, who do I ask? They suddenly got all pumped up on adrenaline, shouting about brotherhood and honor. Ref, are you there? Leo looked up at the air, pointing at the shouting soldiers. They're dead. Why are they talking? I'm reporting a violation. They're interfering with a match order. I demand a penalty. The moment he said this, the soldiers who were roaring about dying unbowed instantly went quiet as mice. Didn't dare let out a squeak. Meanwhile, the surveillance officer, hearing Leo's complaint, didn't know what to do. He looked pleadingly at Commander Hayes. Normally, this behavior would be penalized. But how exactly? Because, as noted, this match hadn't been normal from the start. Hayes turned to look at Colonel Stone and General Evans for their opinions. At this point, continuing was meaningless. The outcome was decided. He had thought it would go into the night. He even prepped emergency lighting, but it wasn't even dinner time yet. What a mess. The way I see it, let's just end it here, General Evans said, glancing at Stone. Ending it this way gives Nighthawk a little face. Losing by technical foul sounded better than being totally annihilated. Colonel Stone sighed deeply and nodded. Let's do that. Hayes was just about to announce the end when, on the screen, Nighthawk's voice suddenly came from the radio in Leo's hand. Leo, you're at Blue Base right now, correct? Give me 5 minutes. I'm bringing my men. We'll duel. Or fight normally, up to you. But I have one thing to say. In Nighthawk's squad, the word surrender doesn't exist. If this were a real battlefield and my teammates were dead, asking me to run away, I can't do it. As Nighthawk spoke, the eliminated blue soldiers looked emotional, faces flushed with pride. Leo exchanged a look with Private Cloud. Great. Now we look even more like villains. Seeing this, Commander Hayes turned to Stone and laughed. Your men seem to have more spine than you do. Stone stood there in a daze. After a long moment, he gave a bitter smile. Those brats. Let continue. Ignore Leo's complaint. Hayes made the call immediately. 5 minutes later, Nighthawk arrived at Blue Base with his 2 remaining teammates. You're here. Leo sat on a supply crate. Make yourselves at home. He acted like he owned the place. Don't waste time. Nighthawk waved his hand, then pulled something from his pocket and tossed it to Leo. Here's the commander's badge. But you have to fight me. Leo caught the badge, confused. I have the badge. The game is over. Why do I need to fight you? We must fight. Nighthawk said deeply. I need to win back some dignity for my squad. With that, he charged at Leo without hesitation. Private Cloud and the others raised their rifles to fire. Hold fire, Leo shouted, then charged forward himself. If he didn't accept a 1v1, what kind of protagonist would he be? The system had already embarrassed him. He couldn't embarrass himself. You moron, do you know how hard I worked to get you those hacks? I begged. I pleaded. Without me, what would you be playing at? I go out and steal cheats for you, and you're dissing me here? The long-lost voice of the system rang out. Leo paused for a split second, raging internally. You stole these hacks? Are you sure you didn't pick them out of another system's trash bin? You couldn't even get Heaven Splitter, and you have the nerve to say you got me hacks? You gave me a bundle of low-level skills, and you think you're a qualified system? Leo traded blows with Nighthawk while arguing with the system in his head. You don't know Jack. There are no low-level skills, only low-level users. A host in another world lost both parents and had nothing. Yet he developed Heaven Splitter on his own. Have you put in the effort? You just know how to take. If I wasn't bound to you, I would have completed the world mission and been promoted ages ago. Screw you. That's a cultivation world. If I went to a cultivation world, I could learn Heaven Splitter too. You'd learn Hammer. I've tolerated you for a long time. You know that? I've never seen such a shameless host. I'm shameless? Who licked my boots to bind with me in the first place? I wanted to bind with you. That was a mission from upstairs. I finish your ticket, I get promoted. But your ultimate mission progress bar hasn't moved an inch. Other hosts don't need reminding. They hustle on their own. And you? Aside from posting memes and acting abstract, what can you do? How do I not hustle? Leo was furious. I relied on myself to get where I am today. Even without hacks, I was the top scholar, a child of destiny. Bam! Just as Leo finished that thought, he felt all his enhanced strength drain away. Nighthawk punched him, sending him flying. Nighthawk stunned himself. Was his punch that strong? Leo clutched his chest, sucking in a cold breath. Internally, he cursed, "System, what the hell are you doing?" In that instant, the system had revoked all his cheats. Didn't you say you don't rely on hacks? Didn't you say you relied on yourself? Go on, show me. Child of destiny? Leo saw this, and the corner of his mouth twitched. You think I have no options just because of this? Garbage system, I don't know if you have eyes, but open your dog eyes and watch closely. Behold the terror of human wisdom. Leo coughed as he stood up, looking at Nighthawk. Well, feel better now. Nighthawk paused, then reacted quickly. Just now. You did that on purpose. Leo waved his hand, speaking softly. Let's leave it at that. No need to continue. Leo, I don't need your pity. Nighthawk said gravely. I want a fair fight. You're wrong, Nighthawk. Leo said solemnly. This isn't pity. The punch I just took was my respect for your squad. It was respect for the bond you share. Leo looked incredibly serious. We are not enemies. We are comrades. We both represent the North Point Military District. Whoever goes to the war games fights for the district. In the future, when we go to the frontier, when we step onto the battlefield, we fight for our country. We are never enemies. We are men who can trust each other with our backs. Do you understand? Everyone stared at Leo in shock, including Commander Hayes and the brass. They never expected the usually unreliable Leo to say something so profound. Nighthawk slowly lowered his hands, looking at Leo with complex eyes. What you said, is that true? Leo nodded seriously. Of course. It's fake. If the system wasn't being a bitch, I would have beaten the crap out of you. Nighthawk smiled, stepped forward, and shook Leo's hand. Win the war games. Show them the spirit of North Point. I'll be waiting for you at the frontier. Leo nodded solemnly. The two shared a moment of mutual appreciation. This made Commander Hayes and the others in the surveillance room feel very gratified. Look at that. Just look at that. Hayes pointed at the screen, addressing General Evans and Colonel Stone. Even the kids know their teammates. Why don't you two get it? Evans and Stone turned their heads away, silent. At their age, asking them to say what Leo just said was impossible. However, ending the competition this way was naturally the best outcome. See that trash system? Leo mocked internally. This is the greatness of human wisdom. The system remained silent. Naturally, the hacks were returned to Leo. If Leo actually died, the system would be in trouble too. As the squads exited the simulation area, Commander Hayes led a group to welcome them. Nighthawk saw Colonel Stone and paused for a second. Sorry, Colonel. It's okay. Stone spoke first. You performed well. The opponent was just a freak of nature. Then, Stone walked toward Leo. Leo, you won. As agreed, you will lead the squad to the war games. If you don't take first place, I won't let you off easy. Leo smiled lightly. Taking first place? Is that supposed to be hard? Stone was speechless. General Evans laughed loudly. Ha, that's right. My grandson taking first place? That's as easy as reaching into a pocket. Ha ha. Everyone looked at the incredibly smug General Evans speechlessly. Your grandson is amazing, but what does that have to do with you? When Carol Evans led the team back in the day, we didn't see you popping up to take credit. North Point Military District. Colonel Grant's office. Colonel Grant, the back mountain seems lively today. Aren't you going to take a look? Colonel Grant sat in his chair, holding a teacup. Hearing this, he smiled. I'm about to retire. I won't go join in the excitement. He looked at the man in front of him. Major Shaw, you should go look. Major Shaw shook his head. If you aren't going, it's not appropriate for me to go. What's inappropriate about it? Grant chuckled. You're my adjutant. After I retire, you'll be Colonel Shaw. You can't be like me and ignore everything. Colonel, please don't say that. I don't have that capability yet. Major Shaw waved his hands hurriedly. Besides, don't you still have 2 years? Why the rush? Grant smiled without speaking, took a sip of tea, and looked out the window. 2 years. He sighed softly, then fell silent. Major Shaw sat quietly with him, flipping through some files that needed processing. Meanwhile, Bedlam. Inside Louis's villa, Shirokiri sat on the sofa, his face dark, remaining silent. Cyclops stood to the side, speaking cautiously. Boss, we haven't found any trace of Louis. Or rather, Buck. He must have gotten wind of it and ran. We likely have a mole close to us. Shirokiri's voice was hoarse. So, can you tell me something I don't know? Cyclops choked on his words, afraid to speak again. He knew Shirokiri was in a foul mood. Anyone who provoked him now was finished. After a long time, Shirokiri spoke again. That guy called Leo 9. Can we contact him? Not sure, but he's not part of Buck's crew, so we should be able to. He was just a fall guy Buck pulled in. He's probably still in the dark. Shirokiri was silent for a moment. Contact him. Tell him to come see me. Yes. Cyclops immediately pulled out his phone to call Leo 9. At that moment, Leo Evans was in General Evans's office, chatting with his grandfather. Seeing the incoming call, his eyebrows raised slightly. Hello? Who is this? Third Master Leo, it's Cyclops. You remember me, right? Hearing this, the corner of Leo's mouth lifted, but he said, Don't remember. Who? Cyclops' mouth twitched, but he remained polite. I'm the boss's right-hand man. Where are you right now? The boss wants to see you. The boss wants to see me? What for? You'll know when you get here. Fine. I'll be there in a bit. Great, Third Master. Do you need me to pick you up? Leo found that amusing. I tell you to come pick me up at the military district. Do you dare? No need. I'll grab a cab. Leo hung up the phone and waved it at General Evans. Call from Bedlam. I'm heading over. General Evans looked nervous immediately. Your cover wasn't blown, was it? Leo gave a mysterious smile. Someone's cover was blown, but not mine. Gotta go, Grandpa. Call if you need anything. With that, Leo left the military district, heading toward Bedlam, leaving General Evans confused. What does he mean, blown, but not him? Meanwhile, a small village near the North Point frontier. It was peaceful here. Golden canola flowers covered the fields, looking like a secluded paradise. A black sedan drove in from the distance. The originally pristine car was now covered in mud. Clearly, the road here hadn't been easy. Soon, the car stopped. Louis, wearing sunglasses, stepped out slowly. TSK, these canola flowers. Ugly. He shook his head, then climbed a small hill. Walking up the slope, he saw white bellflowers blooming by the roadside. Louis picked the bellflowers as he walked, counting continuously. 3, 4, 9. That's enough. He held the 9 white bellflowers in his hand as a small wooden cabin came into view. Seeing the cabin, the expression on Louis's face instantly became incredibly gentle. He walked to the door and knocked. Soon, the door opened. A fair-skinned woman with beautiful peach blossom eyes stood there, smiling at Louis. You open the door just because someone knocks? When did your guard get so low? Louis chided gently. The woman laughed softly. I could smell the bellflowers through the door. I knew it was you. Hearing this, Louis smiled and handed the flowers to her. The woman took them but scolded him. Why did you pick them? They look perfectly fine by the roadside. Why pluck them? There were too many growing. Besides, before I picked them, I asked for their opinion. Louis quibbled. Did they agree? They gave tacit consent. The woman laughed. Smooth talker. Louis walked into the house, hugged the woman, Natalie Snow, and pouted like a child. Natalie, you don't know. I got backstabbed by a kid today. I'm so mad. He's young, relies on a few skills, and just bullied me. Louis acted like a kid who got beat up outside, running home to tattle. Natalie Snow heard this and smiled. With your personality, instead of taking revenge, you came here to cry to me? Louis scoffed. That brat has ties to Sterling, and he's David Evans' son. For the sake of those connections, I won't bicker with a smelly kid. Natalie smiled silently. She turned, took out a glass vase, and arranged the bellflowers. Have you eaten? I'll cook. Louis nodded. I'll help. The two walked into the kitchen familiarly, chopping vegetables and cooking like an old married couple. As Natalie simmered the soup, she asked casually, What are you going to do now? Still looking for Big Brother Sterling. Louis's hand paused while chopping vegetables. Then he spoke slowly. I'm preparing to go to the frontier. Natalie turned sharply, her eyes fixed on him. Louis lowered his head and continued. Natalie, Sterling says the time is right. We're about to dig him out. I don't need to live as Buck anymore. And you can leave this cabin. Author's note. A family elder passed away. I will try my best to find time to write for everyone. You can leave this cabin. Hearing those words, Natalie Snow felt a sudden surge of sorrow. She lowered her head, her eyes instantly red. Can we really? Live in the sunlight again. We can. Louis hugged Natalie, resting his chin on her shoulder, whispering into her ear. We definitely can. When we find that bastard, I will kill him with my own hands. He killed Patriarch Chin, and he reduced us to this. No matter who he is, no matter his status, I will kill him. Louis's voice was filled with endless hatred. Thinking of everything that had happened, His heart ached until he couldn't breathe. Natalie didn't answer, but her beautiful eyes were also filled with hate. Bedlam. Leo Evans had switched to his Leo 9 persona, walking leisurely. Beside him, Harvey Gundam. He followed closely, sweat pouring down his face, clearly nervous. In Shirokiri's eyes, Harvey was partnered with Louis. Now that Louis ran, only Harvey was left. But Harvey was a small fry. Shiro didn't have time to deal with him yet. That didn't mean he wouldn't. Don't be nervous, Leo said lightly. Acting like this will just make people suspicious. Go back to normal. Pretend this has nothing to do with you, like you don't know you've been exposed. Harvey tried to adjust, but guilt remained in his voice. Young Master Leo, are we really okay? Relax. I'll protect you. Leo's tone was certain, giving Harvey a sense of security. Soon, they arrived at the villa entrance. Third Master. Cyclops stood at the door, greeting Leo, then gesturing for him to enter. Harvey prepared to retreat, but Cyclops spoke up. You going too? Harvey shuddered instantly. Me? That's right, you. Cyclops smiled wickedly. Buck's cover is blown. Do you think you can run? Harvey felt like he'd fallen into an ice cave, his legs going soft. Leo, however, feigned surprise. Buck's cover? What happened? Seeing Leo still in the dark, Cyclops laughed. Third Master, you'll know soon enough. For now, go see the boss. Leo glanced indifferently at Cyclops. In his experience, characters with that smug expression didn't survive past the first act of a movie. Not that Leo watched many movies. He preferred watching Kung Fu Panda and SpongeBob with Ava. Soon, they entered the room. Shirokiri sat on the sofa, his head turning slightly under the mask to look at Leo. Leo 9, I called you here because something happened, Shirokiri said. I'll be direct. Buck is a military undercover agent. He pulled you in to be his fall guy. What? Leo put on a shocked expression, frowning. Impossible. How could he be a military agent? Shirokiri didn't waste words. He nodded at Cyclops. Cyclops handed a phone to Leo, playing a recorded video. Watch it yourself, Third Master, Cyclops said mockingly. If I hadn't happened to film this, who knows how long you would have played the patsy. Leo took the phone, eyes widening as he watched the video carefully. Internally, he was bored. He now understood how actors felt watching their own dramas. When the video ended, Leo looked furious, turning to Harvey beside him. You guys plotted against me like this. Harvey's face went white. He waved his hands frantically. No, it was all Buck's idea. I'm just an errand boy. I had no choice. If I didn't help him, he would have killed me. In Bedlam, when the boss isn't here, who dares disobey Buck? The implication was clear. When you're gone, Bedlam belongs to Buck. This was what Leo had taught him to say. Since the dirty water was already thrown, making it dirtier wouldn't hurt. Shirokiri didn't care for Harvey's excuses. To him, the words of such a small character were meaningless. Kill him, he said lightly, raising a hand, sentencing Harvey to death. Wait, just as Cyclops was about to move, Leo gritted his teeth. I've lived this long and never been played like this. Letting him die now is too cheap. We can't find Buck, so you don't get to die yet. Leo looked at Harvey savagely. I'm going to torture you until Buck shows up. Then, I'll send you both on your way myself. I'll make you realize that living is more painful than dying. Harvey's heart jumped, seeing Leo's expression. If he didn't know the inside story, he might have fainted from fear right there. Shirokiri watched this and nodded internally. Worthy of the Viridian Umbra. Ruthless fits him perfectly. Fine, then he's yours to deal with. Shirokiri paused, then added, I called you here for something more important. Oh, what is it? Leo asked curiously. Shirokiri looked up, staring intently at Leo. Day after tomorrow, we have an operation. You need to come with us. What operation? Assassinating Colonel Grant. Are you crazy? Leo's pupils shook. He spoke without thinking. Assassinating a military district commander? Have you considered the consequences? Shirokiri said calmly. You have two choices. Do it with us or you die first. As his voice fell, dozens of men rushed into the room, surrounding Leo. 5 red laser dots appeared on different parts of Leo's body. I know you're skilled, so I called 5 snipers at once, Shirokiri said flatly. Now, have you made your choice? Leo's face turned ugly, but internally he muttered, is this guy brain damaged? You just decide to assassinate a commander without scouting? How many drinks have you had? Do you think the military district is a tourist attraction? Leo took a deep breath and said slowly, I won't do it. You won't do it. Shirokiri slowly raised his head, looking at Leo. So you choose to die here? Leo spoke unhurriedly. Going with you is suicide too. Since death is the outcome either way, What's the difference between dying sooner or later? Suicide. Shiro Kiri laughed. Do you think we lack the strength? Of course. That's a district commander, Leo said slowly. Most of the time, he stays in the base. Even if he goes home, he has special protection. And Grant's home is near the base. Once we move, the military will arrive instantly. Tell me, how do we fight that? Hearing this, Shiro Kiri realized Leo's concern was pragmatic. You don't need to worry about that. If I weren't confident, I wouldn't act. Someone will stall the military for us. Besides that, I've found other helpers. Killing Grant. I have an 80% chance of success. Shiro Kiri stood up, walked toward Leo, and slowly extended a hand. My eyes were wrong about Buck once. I trust you won't disappoint me, right? Leo looked at the hand extended toward him, feeling a wave of emotion. Shiro, you make me feel bad about backstabbing you. After hesitating for 2 or 3 seconds, Leo decisively reached out and grasped Shiro Kiri's hand tightly. Boss, don't worry. Leo's tone was solemn. Internally, he sighed. When the time comes, I'll take your ashes to the islands. Consider it sending you home. Or maybe just the frontier, give them to his brother. TSK, his brother will have to thank me for delivering the ashes all that way. Leo's lips curled up slightly. In this world, good people like him were rare. After all, he was an outstanding citizen. 3 good youth, the flower of the motherland. Then, stay here for the next 2 days. Don't go out. Shiro Kiri patted Leo's shoulder. Wait until the day after tomorrow. Once everyone arrives, we move together. During this time, no one in town can use communication devices. Everyone is the same, so please understand. Leo raised an eyebrow. Still don't trust me? I become the fall guy, the patsy, and I agreed to help you assassinate a commander, and you still don't trust me? Leo felt wronged. He took out his phone and placed it in Shiro Kiri's hand. Understand. Of course I understand. Leo smiled. Everything is for the town. Shiro Kiri nodded with satisfaction. Well said. Everything for the town. Ha ha. The two smiled at each other like old friends. All right, you rest here. I have preparations to make. Shiro Kiri finished and left the villa with Cyclops. As for Harvey, he was left to Leo to dispose of as agreed. Shiro Kiri ignored him completely. In his eyes, Harvey was already dead. Confirming Shiro Kiri left, Harvey exhaled. He looked at Leo. Young Master Leo, what do we do now? What else? Notify the outside to prepare the net. But your phone was. Harvey hadn't finished when he saw Leo walk to the TV, reach behind his back, and pull out a micro earpiece. What did you put that there? First time I came here, probably. Leo put in the earpiece. I'm undercover. Isn't planting bugs normal? Harvey was speechless. So you left an earpiece here? Shouldn't an undercover agent plant listening devices? I did, Leo said matter-of-factly. The sofa behind you, the chandelier on the ceiling, the kitchen, the bedroom. Leo listed several spots. I installed HD cameras in basically all of them. Harvey felt his scalp go numb. So, the military knows everything that just happened. Is this an undercover agent? Terrifying. No. Leo shook his head. The military doesn't know. I installed these myself. Harvey was dumbfounded. What? You aren't a military mole? I'm with the military, and I'm here undercover, Leo explained casually. But I never said I was a mole sent by the military. Harvey was confused. Why did he feel like he couldn't understand human language anymore? Simply put, I work for myself, not the military. Get it? Leo finished, activated the earpiece, and spoke. Adrian, you recorded all that just now, right? Recorded, Adrian's voice responded. Need me to notify the military? Not yet. Don't worry about the military side. With me here, if Grant is really a good guy, he won't die. Then what do you need me to do? Can you track Shiro Kiri's movements? I can, but there are blind spots. I can only track his general location. Good. Notify the military the moment before the operation starts. Leo enunciated clearly. Ensure the military arrives exactly 1 moment late. Understood. Cutting the connection, Leo pocketed the earpiece and told Harvey, give me that bottle of 82 Chateau Margaux Buck had. Let me taste it. He lay on the sofa, crossing his legs, preparing to enjoy a luxurious life for the next 2 days. Young Master Leo, Buck took all the wine. What? Leo was shocked. He had time to run with the wine? Unbeknownst to them, that bottle of expensive red wine hadn't been drunk by Louis. He had poured it all on Patriarch Chen's grave. Meanwhile, Shiro Kiri led his men to Gareth Granger's hiding spot. Following the route in his memory, Shiro walked up the stairs alone. By the window, Gareth sat on a tattered sofa, looking much better than before. Looks like his injuries have fully healed, Shiro thought. He spoke up. Day after tomorrow, we assassinate Colonel Grant. Good. Shirokiri turned and left. He knew that saying more now was empty talk. Only after the assassination succeeded could they discuss further cooperation. Near evening, a street near the North Point military district. Colonel Grant walked slowly into the vegetable market. Every day after leaving the base, he would buy groceries here to cook at home. Colonel Grant, you're early today? Some vendors greeted him familiarly. The usual? Yes, give me some radishes and ribs. I'll make soup, Grant smiled. You got it. You're lucky today, Colonel. If you came any later, the ribs might have been gone. The butcher chatted while preparing the ribs. Next time, just call me ahead of time. I'll save them for you. All right, next time for sure, Grant nodded with a smile. Is a missus okay? Haven't seen her lately. Grant's eyes grew complex. She has some things going on, rarely goes out. I was wondering why I haven't seen her. The vendor packed the ribs and handed the bag to Grant. Colonel, if you have any trouble at home, tell us. We can help. Okay, definitely. Grant took out his wallet. How much? 53. Just give me 50. Grant counted out $53 from his wallet and placed it on the table. The vendor smiled and didn't argue, accepting the money. After paying, Grant wandered around, buying some green onions and corn. Then, carrying his groceries, he left the market and walked east. His home wasn't far. No need to drive. Unless necessary, he preferred walking home. Under the setting sun, Grant walked among the bustling crowd like an ordinary old man. No one would suspect this white-haired senior was a high-ranking officer of the North Point military district. Soon, Grant entered a residential complex. The residents here were mostly military families or widows of soldiers. Grant entered the elevator. As it ascended, his heart grew heavier. The elevator reached his floor. Grant took out his key and opened the door. You're back. Hearing the door, a woman stood up from the sofa and took the groceries from Grant's hand. It was his wife, Julia. I bought ribs. Make some soup, Grant said. Okay. Julia nodded, carrying the food to the kitchen. Grant took off his coat and walked to the kitchen door, watching Julia work silently. He wanted to speak, but felt a lump in his throat. After a long time, he spoke slowly. Today is the last day. Have you thought it through? Hearing Grant's words, Julia's movements froze. Then, a bitter smile appeared on her face. I've caused you trouble, haven't I? Grant remained silent. Julia paused, then continued. Grant, I promised you before that I wouldn't pass intelligence to the U.S. again. But, for Spencer, I had no choice. Grant sighed deeply. I know it all. Between national righteousness and the life of my own grandson, even I would find it hard to choose. Tears streamed from Julia's eyes. She choked out, I'm sorry, Grant. I've thought it through. I will take responsibility for my actions. Give me 2 more days, okay? In 2 days, I'll go to the base and turn myself in. Grant nodded grimly. Okay, 2 days. Then, he stopped himself. Cooked dinner. Grant left the kitchen and sat on the sofa. He lit a cigarette, something he hadn't done in a long time, and pulled a letter from a drawer. It had been delivered secretly to their home a long time ago. The content was brief. Your grandson Spencer Grant's life is in our hands. Exchange the core data of the Chinese androids for it. Included was a photo. Spencer was tied to a chair, soaked in blood, clearly having suffered inhumane torture. Every time Grant saw this photo, his heart felt like it was being twisted by a knife. This was his grandson, his only grandson. After his son and daughter-in-law died in battle, this was his only hope. Spencer. Grant whispered the name, Spencer's voice echoing in his ears. Grandpa, come fly kites with me. Grandpa, Mom and Dad are so cool. I want to be a soldier when I grow up, just as cool as them. Grandpa, the classmates look at me weird today. They said Mom and Dad aren't coming back. What does that mean? Grandpa, I got into the military academy. Grandpa, I'm going to the frontier. Take care of yourself. Grandpa. Splatter. A tear dropped from Grant's eye onto the photo. He bit his lip, wiped the tear with his sleeve, took a deep breath, and pretended nothing had happened. Unbeknownst to him, Julia had seen everything from the side. She said nothing, just pretending she hadn't seen, returning to the kitchen to cook silently. Grant put away the letter and photo, shoving them back into the drawer. Then, as if he had made up his mind, he took out his phone and slowly typed a message. Meanwhile, Leo was lying in the large villa in Bedlam, enjoying the indulgent life of the rich. Harvey was hidden away, assumed dead. I love taking baths. Body feels so good. Oh. Leo lay in a large bathtub, eating premium fruit and singing. Life was good. Suddenly, his ears twitched, and he frowned slightly. A moment later, the bathroom door opened. Shirokiri stood there, his expression hidden under the mask. What? Something up? Leo asked nonchalantly. Shirokiri looked at Leo in the tub, his voice low. Get dressed. We're moving out. Where to? Assassinating Colonel Grant. Didn't you say the day after tomorrow? I changed my mind. Leo's eyes instantly darkened. This guy, from the very beginning, he never planned to act the day after tomorrow. All his preparations were for today. Author's note. Just finished dealing with my grandfather's funeral matters. I will try to write more tonight. North Point's nights, compared to the bustling Ethelberg, were somewhat desolate. In most northern cities, the streets became exceptionally quiet after 10 p.m. This was one of the reasons Leo didn't like staying here. What kind of decent person goes to sleep at 10 p.m.? For his age group, having no nightlife was absolutely unacceptable. Leo changed his clothes and asked Shirokiri, why act tonight? Because tonight, Grant went home without guards, Shirokiri said in a low voice. I don't know why, but if we're going to strike, tonight is the best opportunity. Leo didn't speak, just nodded. He followed Shirokiri out the door and found several people already waiting in the yard. Cyclops was among them. Leo frowned. Just these few people. Too many people makes it easy to be exposed, Shirokiri answered. Besides, I don't trust others. I'm afraid of accidents. Relax, these are my confidants. There won't be any problems. Leo's mouth twitched. So you consider me a confidant too? Shirokiri turned to the group. Check your gear. We leave in 10 minutes. Then he turned to Leo. Wait here. Shirokiri walked back into the house, took out a phone, his face extremely grave. He dialed a number. Soon it connected. Shiro spoke first. It's me. We're moving out shortly. No issues on your end, right? A hoarse voice came from the phone. Don't worry. I'll stall the military for you. But I can't hold them for too long. You have to be fast. With this guarantee, Shirokiri's confidence surged. Worthy of a U.S. spy, he actually had the ability to stall the military. Coupled with help from other spies, he had a high chance of success. Once successful, he could cooperate with Gareth Granger, and the destruction of the military district would be within reach. Everything depends on tonight, Shirokiri whispered. I have no retreat. On the other side, Louis looked at his phone, shaking his head with a sigh. AI, tonight, there will be one more heartbroken person in this world. If nothing unexpected happens, that shady guy Leo should still be with Shirokiri right now. Thinking of this, Louis clicked his tongue, starting to sympathize with Shirokiri. Old Shiro. Leo is young and doesn't know restraint. You better hang in there. 10 minutes later, Shirokiri led his men quietly out of Bedlam. Where are we going? Leo asked. Don't ask. You'll know when we get there. Shirokiri stared out the car window, saying no more. As time passed, the vehicle drove toward the suburbs, stopping in a desolate area. Get out, Shirokiri ordered. Leo complied, following Shirokiri out of the car. He followed Shiro to a secluded spot where a figure waited not far away. Leo squinted, recognizing the face, and sucked in a breath. Whoa, isn't this the owner of the biscuit shack from this morning? So you really are a spy? Warren saw Leo as well, but since Leo was using Leo 9's face, Warren didn't recognize him. Still, Warren felt a familiar vibe from him. Who is he? Warren asked cautiously. His name is Leo 9. Relax, his identity is clean, Shirokiri said. Where's the stuff I asked for? Warren gave Leo a deep look, then pulled a black suitcase from under a nearby tree. Here are the explosives you wanted. Enough to bring down an entire building. Hearing this, Leo raised an eyebrow. Explosives? Now you're speaking my language. Then, Warren handed a device to Shirokiri. This is the detonator. You can trigger it from a safe distance. This is all the help I can give you. Hope you don't drag me down. With that, Warren turned and got into his car, leaving without hesitation. Leo looked at the black suitcase and asked, These explosives? To kill Grant, Shirokiri said without hiding anything. Tonight's plan is to use these explosives to bring down the entire building Grant lives in. Leo inhaled sharply. Playing that big? That was military housing. If they blew it all up, it wouldn't just be Grant dying. The military would go insane. There's a saying in China I like very much, Shirokiri said darkly. No madness, no survival. He turned to look at Leo. Leo 9, tonight, only you can complete this arduous task. Leo was dumbfounded. Me? You just want a fall guy, right? Do you really take me for a sucker? Boss, you mean? You heard it. This remote is to detonate the explosives. Shirokiri looked at the remote in his hand solemnly. Later, when we reach the target, I need you to plant the explosives inside the building, then detonate them yourself. After it's done, I promise, you will have wealth and glory for the rest of your life. Leo's eye twitched. You, an islander, learning to paint big cakes like a corporate boss? But if you give me the remote, I'm interested. Leo couldn't believe Shirokiri was willing to give such an important item to him. Is there a trap? Leo became alert. Something fell off. If he were Shirokiri, would he let the bomber live? He had even seen Warren's face. Could this remote be rigged? If I press it, do I blow up too? Leo sat in the back seat, examining the remote. It seemed very possible. If he were Shirokiri, he would definitely do that. No, I have to think a way to dump this hot potato on some sucker. An optimal candidate instantly floated into Leo's mind. The corners of his mouth slowly rose, revealing a smile. Brother, don't blame me. Blame your bad luck. Soon, they were approaching the place where Colonel Grant lived. Shirokiri spoke up. Wait a moment. We will do everything to help you sneak in with the explosives. I've already told you Grant's exact address. Leo 9, everything depends on you. Leo's face was extremely solemn. Don't worry, boss. I definitely won't disappoint you. Outside the perimeter of the military district's family housing complex, Shirokiri and his crew watched from a distance, holding their position. It was deep into the night. The streets were deserted save for their small group. Boss, what are we waiting for? Leo Evans asked. Why don't we just go in and hit him? Shiro glanced at him and spoke flatly. Don't ask too many questions. Just stick to the plan. Okay, but how much longer are we waiting? I can ask that, right? Why? You in a rush. I mean, if we're going to be sitting here for a while, I'm going to step out and grab a smoke. Shiro rolled his eyes, clearly annoyed. Wear your mask. There are cameras everywhere. You got it. Leo pulled on his mask, opened the car door, and stepped out. Not 10 seconds later, Leo opened the door and poked his head back in. Shiro stared at him. Didn't you go out for a smoke? You finished it that fast. Who do you think you are, a vacuum cleaner? Boss, you got a light? Or a spare smoke? Leo laughed awkwardly. Just patted my pockets, realized I'm fresh out. Shiro's mouth twitched. No. All right, I'll bum one off, Cyclops. Click. Leo shut the door. Shiro rubbed his temples and sighed. Is this guy brain damaged? We're about to blow up a building, and he's not even a little nervous. In fact, he looks excited. Forget it. He's going to die soon anyway. Shiro shook his head, dismissing the thought. There was no point wasting energy on a dead man walking. Meanwhile, Leo strolled over to the other car and knocked on the window. The glass rolled down, revealing Cyclops' confused face beneath his eye patch. Smoke break. Leo jerked his head toward a dark corner, signaling Cyclops to join him. Question marks practically floated above Cyclops' head. Bro, are you okay? We are literally seconds away from a black ops mission. I'm shaking in my boots, and you want a smoke break. Although I wouldn't say no. Cyclops thought about it. They were just waiting anyway. A cigarette might calm the nerves. He nodded, pulled on his mask, stepped out of the car, and followed Leo to the shadows. Cyclops fished a pack of cigarettes from his pocket, shook one out, and offered it to Leo. Leo waved it away. I don't smoke. He used to be a social smoker, but Ava had laid down the law. No smoking. So Leo had quit. Cold turkey. Cyclops' brain short-circuited. You don't smoke? Then why the hell did you drag me out here? Are you actually insane? He wanted to scream the question, but Leo cut him off, dropping his voice to a conspiratorial whisper. Do you want a promotion? Promotion? Cyclops' eye flickered. I'm listening. Leo saw the hook land and started reeling him in. Look at the facts. Buck ran off, so I naturally moved up to second in command. But the number 3 spot is still vacant. Honestly, I've always thought a man with your talents deserves that seat. Plus, you're the boss's trusted man. You taking a number 3 spot? It's a no-brainer. But ask yourself, why are you still just Cyclops and not number 3? Have you thought about that? Cyclops nodded slowly, deeply resonating with Leo 9's logic. He had worked his ass off for Bedlam. He was diligent, capable, and smart. Hell, he was the one who exposed Buck as a traitor. Why wasn't he number 3? Because you lack a crowning achievement. Leo's voice dripped with temptation. I have an opportunity right here. A chance for you to personally kill Colonel Grant. If you pull that off, and then tell the boss you won the number 3 spot, who would dare say no? Desire burned in Cyclops' eye, but a sliver of suspicion remained. Why are you helping me like this? Because you helped me, Leo said, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. If you hadn't had the sharp eye to expose that bastard Buck, I would have been screwed by him eventually. I, Leo 9, always repay my debts. From today on, Cyclops, you are my brother. The last traces of doubt in Cyclops' heart vanished, replaced by a surge of emotion. Brother Leo, you. Say no more, Brother Cyclops. Leo interrupted, pulling the remote detonator from his pocket and pressing it into Cyclops' hand. He then quickly whispered the details of the demolition plan. Cyclops was genuinely moved. Brother Leo, to treat me with such kindness. I will never betray you. Once I take the number 3 spot, we brothers will share the wealth and face the danger together. Leo nodded solemnly. Share the wealth. Face the danger. They sounded like they were swearing a blood oath. In that moment, it was as if they had found their long-lost soulmates. Quickly, the two emerged from the corner, both in high spirits. Cyclops was happy because the number 3 position was within reach. Leo was happy because he found a patsy to hold the bag. Next up are the explosives. Leo calculated internally. This stuff packs a punch. Where should I toss it? They were surrounded by residential buildings. He couldn't detonate it here. In that case, a wicked idea formed in Leo's mind. Back in the car, they waited a few more minutes until Shiro pulled out his phone and checked a message. It's time, Shiro announced. As soon as he spoke, a figure emerged from inside the housing complex, walking toward the gate and smiling at the guard. Suddenly, the figure struck, knocking the guard unconscious with a swift blow. Leo watched, feigning shock. We have a mole inside the complex. Not one of ours. Shiro didn't explain further. He couldn't exactly say it was a foreign spy. He had called in a lot of favors to find a few people willing to help with this operation. All right, from this moment on, you have 10 minutes. No one on this street will interfere with you, Shiro instructed. Remember, plant the explosives in the designated zone, then get out immediately and run with us. We'll detonate it on the road. If you're slow, the military will swarm us. Leo nodded with gravitas. Don't worry, I will complete the mission. With a look of grim determination, he exited the car and opened the trunk. He popped the latches on the black case containing the bomb. With his expertise, he immediately recognized it as professional-grade ordnance. Removing the explosives from the casing would normally be incredibly difficult, but Leo had cheats. In mere seconds, he separated the explosives from the case. He carefully stashed the explosives in the hidden compartment of the trunk and lifted out the now-empty black case. He walked the case over to Shiro's window. Shiro glanced at the case, confirmed it looked right, and nodded. Be careful. Leo carried the case to the entrance of the complex. The man who had knocked out the guard looked at Leo and hissed. Hurry up. Follow me. I'll take you to the spot. Leo nodded and fell in step behind him. Inside the car, Shiro watched the two enter the gates, then turned to his driver. Go. The driver looked confused. What? I said drive. The driver didn't understand, but he obeyed, slamming on the gas. The second car, seeing the lead vehicle move, followed close behind. Within moments, they were speeding away from the complex. Shiro smiled smugly. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a remote control identical to the one Leo had given Cyclops. You think I'd trust Leo 9 with something as dangerous as a detonator? He murmured softly. That fake remote is harmless, but it has a tracker inside. Once I detonate the bomb with my remote, the tracker will activate. Leo 9's position will be broadcast to the entire military, drawing all their fire. Once Colonel Grant is dead, Leo 9 will realize he has no way out. If the military catches him, he's dead. So, he'll either run for his life, distracting the military, or fight to the death and get killed. Either outcome has zero impact on me or Bedlam. Killing Colonel Grant will be seen as Leo 9's personal vendetta. The military won't have grounds to move against Bedlam. Shiro had to admit his script was perfect. He was very pleased with himself. He wanted to show Gareth Granger not just his strength, but his strategic brilliance. Even Sterling, the so-called divine strategist, probably couldn't top this, right? Shiro's confidence was bordering on arrogance. Soon, they arrived at the outskirts of the city, the same spot where they had met Warren earlier. This was the maximum range for the remote detonator. Inside the complex, Leo followed the man to the designated zone. This is it. Put the explosives here, and you're done. Leo nodded and set the case on the ground. Then he sat on the case, pulled out his phone, and opened Candy Crush. The man stared at him. What are you doing? Playing Candy Crush. What else am I going to do? Stare at the wall. Leo replied as if it were obvious. Candy Crush. The man was dumbfounded. His mind went blank. He wanted to say something, but couldn't find the words. By the way, which country do you spy for? Leo asked without looking up, swiping a row of blue candies. You guys digging deep. Even sneaking into family housing? Where did you forge your papers? The man's eyes instantly sharpened with suspicion. Who are you? You're not with Shiro. TSK. Do you have trouble with reading comprehension? Leo looked up, enunciating every word. I asked, which country are you a spy for? Under Leo's gaze, the man felt an invisible, crushing pressure. Sweat began to bead on his forehead. My name is Kim. I'm from the Republic of Korea. There we go. Ask a question, give an answer. Leo nodded in satisfaction. What was the mission Shiro gave you? It was. Kim started to speak, then realized something. Why the hell should he tell this guy? He was a noble spy, not a prisoner under interrogation. The next second, a black gun barrel was pressed against his temple. The man holding it was Adrian. Answer him, Adrian said coolly, or you won't get a chance to speak ever again. Kim's heart sank to the bottom of his stomach. He immediately switched personas. Bro, look, it's like this. Shiro told me to confirm the explosives were in place, guide you out, text him, and then get away from you. That's it. He didn't say anything else. Leo nodded, then turned to Adrian. Where are Shiro and the others right now? Once you came inside, they bolted for the outskirts, Adrian reported quietly. I checked the feed. They stopped just outside city limits. They're probably waiting for this guy's text. Kim listened to their conversation, too terrified to breathe loud. Holy crap, who are these guys? Shiro's entire operation is completely under their surveillance? You can text Shiro now, Leo said. Kim blinked. Text? What? Whatever you were supposed to text. Send it. Kim didn't dare argue. He pulled out his phone and sent the signal to Shiro. Out in the suburbs, Shiro saw the message and a smile curled his lips. He slowly pulled out the detonator. Beside him, Cyclops was confused. Why does the boss have a remote? It looks exactly like mine. And wasn't that Leo guy supposed to text me? Why haven't I heard anything? Before Cyclops could process it, Shiro pressed the button. Instantly, the black sedan parked behind them erupted in a blinding red flash. Boom! A deafening explosion, accompanied by a massive shockwave, swept through the area. Even Leo, inside the complex, heard the rumble. TSK. Hope I didn't kill them all, Leo muttered, standing up. He turned to Adrian. Notify my grandfather and the others. Tell them, I'm closing the net. Adrian nodded. Kim looked bewildered. Closing the net. You're fed. His eyes bulged as he realized the man in front of him was military. Why so shocked? Leo asked, genuinely puzzled. Isn't almost everyone in this complex a Fed? Kim said. The logic was sound. It was military housing. Follow us quietly. If you behave, I can put in a good word for a reduced sentence, Leo said indifferently. Otherwise, it's the death penalty, executed immediately. Kim understood his position instantly. He forced a smile. Bro, don't worry. I'll cooperate. I'm turning over a new leaf. He had no choice. If he didn't submit, he'd be meeting the Grim Reaper right here. As the three of them prepared to leave the complex to check the scene in the suburbs, a figure suddenly appeared in front of them, blocking their path. Adrian's eyes narrowed, his body tensing in full combat readiness. Leo paused for a second, looked at the figure, and laughed. I was wondering who it was. If it isn't North Point's most wanted. Gareth Granger? Gareth Granger's sudden appearance was something no one had anticipated. Adrian felt an invisible pressure crushing him. Just Gareth standing there was overwhelming. Sure enough, those foreign spies are all useless trash, Gareth said slowly, mocking himself. Laughable that I actually pinned my hopes on them. His gaze locked onto Leo. Leo Evans. Give me the mithril pistol. Leo played dumb. What mithril pistol? I don't know what you're talking about. Drop the act, Gareth said with absolute certainty. I know the mithril pistol is on you. Oh, now that's interesting. Leo's expression grew serious. Only a handful of people know I have the gun, and I know for a fact those people wouldn't tell you. So, where did you get your intel? Some things are better left unknown, Gareth growled. Stop stalling. The entire military force is heading toward Shiro's location. Don't expect anyone to come save you. I'll count to 3. Hand over the mithril pistol, or I take it off your corpse. Leo didn't flinch. He turned his head slightly and whispered to Adrian, You go check on Shiro. I'll be there in a minute. Adrian nodded, glanced at Gareth one last time, and took a step. A powerful gust of wind slammed into them. Gareth moved. No one leaves without my permission. Before Gareth finished his sentence, his fist was inches from Adrian's face. With Gareth's power, if that punch connected, Adrian was dead. Watching the fist close in, Adrian's mind went blank. It's over. I can't dodge. Slap! A soft sound echoed. Gareth's fist stopped dead in front of Adrian, unable to advance another millimeter. A pale hand gripped his wrist like a vice. Without your permission? Leo said slowly, tightening his grip on Gareth's arm. You're a fugitive on the run. Who do you think you are, ordering people around? Adrian snapped out of his trance, realizing this wasn't the time to gawk. He scrambled past Gareth and ran toward the exit. Leo, your strength. Gareth ignored the fleeing Adrian. Leo's power had completely exceeded his expectations. Gareth was an evolver, a new breed of human surpassing variance. He existed on a higher plane. He should have been invincible. What? Just because you have cheats doesn't mean others can enable theirs. Leo scoffed. I was using cheat codes while you were still wetting the bed. Leo launched a kick, sending Gareth flying back several meters. Impossible. Gareth steadied himself, roared in rage, and charged again. The two collided in a blur of violence. Nearby, Kim watched, jaw on the floor. Are these guys even human? Does China have monsters like this hidden everywhere? If everyone in China was like these two, why even bother fighting? Kim fell into a deep existential crisis. Meanwhile, Leo and Gareth fought with increasing intensity, completely ignoring their surroundings. The noise of their brawl woke up half the complex. Who's setting off fireworks in the middle of the night? Is it a gas main? I swear, the noise is insane. I have work tomorrow. That doesn't sound like fireworks. Look downstairs. Is that two guys fighting? Are you kidding? A fist fight making that much noise. Someone go down and break it up. Can't they talk it out? Young people these days, always so impulsive. Back in my day. Screw your day. Go to sleep. I have to take my grandson to school. Leo and Gareth selectively ignored the commentary. Their internal monologues were eerily similar. Gareth, what is wrong with him? My body is fully evolved, yet I can only fight him to a draw? Leo, what is wrong with him? I turn on every cheat I have, and I can only fight him to a draw? Gareth and Leo, screw it. If I don't kill you today, how can I show my face in this town again? In an instant, both saw red, out in the suburbs, amidst a sea of fire. Cough, cough. Shiro crawled along the ground, covered in blood and soot. He barely managed to drag himself out of the inferno, gasping for air. If he hadn't been standing far from the car when he pressed the remote, he'd be dead meat. Damn it, what the hell happened? Shiro panted, looking around for survivors. Boss, save me. Cyclops' voice cried out. He was dragging himself across the ground nearby, his legs clearly broken. Shiro took a deep breath, forced himself to stand, and staggered over. Using every ounce of strength he had left, he dragged Cyclops to safety. Boss, it looks like it's just the two of us, Cyclops sobbed. Which bastard planted a bomb in our car? Boss, this has to be the military. They're making their move. We need to get Leo 9 to pick us up. Once we get back, we can rebuild. Shiro sighed deeply. He regretted saving this idiot. You moron, don't you get it? Shiro cursed. Leo 9 is the problem. He rigged the explosives. You got sold out, and you're still counting the money for him. Cyclops was dumbfounded. Leo 9 is the traitor? Impossible. He just called me his brother. Suddenly, Cyclops pulled the remote Leo gave him from his pocket. Boss, Leo 9 gave me this. Shiro took one look and nearly passed out. Throw it away. Now, it has a tracker. The military will home in on it. Hearing this, Cyclops frantically tossed the remote into the flames. We have to go. The military is coming. Shiro tried to move, but blinding lights suddenly flooded the area. He looked up at the approaching convoy, and his heart turned to ice. How are they here so fast? Shiro whispered, despair washing over him. The military had arrived. Quick, put out the fire. Save the wounded. The explosion was so massive that Commander Hayes had to come see the situation personally. What on earth happened? He stared at the flames, feeling a headache coming on. A massive explosion inside North Point limits meant endless reports and self-criticism essays. Who the hell was bored enough to play with high explosives in his jurisdiction? Commander Hayes, so far, these are the only two survivors we've found. Shiro and Cyclops were dragged in front of Hayes. Hayes frowned. Who are these guys? Covered in soot. Can't even see their faces. Name. Identity. Hayes asked flatly. Shiro stared at Hayes, keeping his mouth shut. Cyclops, however, panicked. Officers, this explosion had nothing to do with us. We're innocent. Innocent. General Evans scoffed. I recognize you. You're from Bedlam, aren't you? If you say this has nothing to do with you, I don't believe a word of it. Spill it. What kind of scheme were you hatching? Cyclops cried foul. It really wasn't us. Why would we blow ourselves up? Then who was it? It was Leo 9. He did everything. Leo. General Evans started to say the name, then stopped abruptly, his heart skipping a beat. Leo 9? Isn't that the undercover alias my grandson is using? Commander Hayes turned his head, looking at Evans with a very obvious question in his eyes. Evans quickly leaned in and whispered, couldn't be, right? How long has he been undercover? Closing the net this fast. Hayes glared at him. You're asking me? That's your grandson. Just then, a car approached and was stopped by the perimeter guards. Adrian stepped out and shouted, General Evans. Evans turned. Seeing Adrian, his anxiety spiked. Crap, did my grandson actually do this? Let him through, Evans ordered. Adrian jogged over. Before he could speak, Evans asked, "This has nothing to do with my grandson, right?" He blinked furiously at Adrian as he spoke, terrified people wouldn't catch the hint. Adrian hesitated. "You could say it has something to do with him, or you could say it doesn't. What kind of answer is that?" Hayes frowned. "Speak clearly." Adrian decided to be blunt. Leo didn't set off this explosion. Evans exhaled, relieved. But he basically planned it. Evans looked up at the sky, pursing his lips. "Welp, it's over. The Evans family reputation takes another hit. This man is a spy from the island nation. Chizuru Kiri's brother, Shiro Kiri," Adrian said, pointing at Shiro. "Secure him. Don't let him commit suicide." Hearing this, Hayes realized the severity of the situation. "Secure him. Now." Soldiers swarmed Shiro, restraining him instantly. Cyclops watched, stunned. "Spy? Island nation? Since when did the boss become a foreign agent? Where is Leo? Why are you alone?" Evans asked. "We ran into Gareth Granger. Leo is fighting him right now," Adrian said urgently. "What?" Everyone was shocked. Leo was fighting Gareth Granger? Alone? Evans panicked. "We need to send backup immediately." Hayes looked grim. "I'll assemble the teams right now." Meanwhile, Leo was fighting Gareth Granger with heated intensity. His mouth was working just as hard as his fists. "Gareth, you killed your own father for this pathetic amount of power. If I were you, I'd have died of shame by now. You still have the nerve to show your face. Does your dad know you turned out to be such a disappointment? Is he rolling in his grave right now? Say something, Gareth. Why are your eyes red? Touched by my words. Look at you. Planned for so long, only to end up a homeless fugitive. I don't know what you were thinking." Gareth's eyes were bloodshot with rage. What made it worse was that everything Leo said was true. He thought full evolution meant he would rule the world. Instead, he got beat up everywhere he went. How could he tolerate this? "I'll kill you," Gareth roared, ready to put his life on the line. He didn't care about the mithril pistol or the plans anymore. He just wanted to vent his hatred by killing Leo. Seeing Gareth go berserk, Leo gritted his teeth. "You think you're the only one who can go all out? I'm not afraid of dying. You better not be either." Leo postured like he was about to unleash a suicide attack. But before Gareth could react, Leo kicked off the ground and bolted. "Leo," Gareth froze. "Didn't we agree to fight to the death? I haven't even used my move yet, and you run?" It felt like punching cotton, frustrating beyond belief. "Now, stand still. You tell me to stand, I stand. Where's my dignity?" Leo laughed as he ran. "You want to fight to the death? I'm running straight to the military district. Dare to follow me." Gareth didn't speak, but he chased relentlessly. He was determined to kill Leo. Damn, he's actually chasing? Leo's mouth twitched. Suddenly, the hair on his arms stood up. A massive sense of danger washed over him. He slammed on the brakes and juked to the side. Boom! A crater was blasted into the spot where he had just been standing. If he hadn't dodged, he would have been paced. This sudden variable made Gareth stop as well. Both men looked toward the source of the attack. Dust settled, revealing a figure. President Morgan, the Nightmare. Leo and Gareth exclaimed in unison. Why was he here? Morgan looked at Gareth, then held out his hand to Leo. "Leo Evans, give me the mithril pistol, and I leave." Leo felt a headache coming on. "How the hell do you know I have the pistol too?" Gareth frowned. "Nightmare, you aren't qualified to hold the mithril pistol." The three separated, forming a triangle of tension. Swords drawn, bows knocked. Inside Colonel Grant's apartment. Because of the battle between Leo and Gareth, many residents had woken up. Colonel Grant was no exception. He had seen the fight, but due to the distance, he couldn't make out their faces. Otherwise, he would have recognized Leo immediately. Grant was getting dressed, preparing to investigate. "You going out?" Julia asked, her voice stopping him. "I have to check it out," Grant said softly. Between the fight downstairs and the explosion earlier, the rest of the command must be mobilizing. As a senior officer, I can't sit here and do nothing. If that explosion is related to those two fighting, I need to pursue them and find out the truth. "You're going to chase them?" Julia looked worried. "You saw them. They aren't normal humans. If you go, you might." "I still have to go," Grant interrupted, his voice low. "It's the responsibility I carry." He put on his coat and walked out. Click. The door shut. Julia stared at the closed door, eyes full of worry. Under the bright living room lights, she sat on the sofa, doing nothing but drinking water, waiting for Grant's safe return. Not long after, there was a knock on the door. Knock, knock, knock. Julia stood up immediately, thinking Grant had returned. She was about to open the door when she realized something was wrong. Grant never knocked. He had his keys. The person knocking wasn't Grant. Grant had just left. The timing wasn't a coincidence. Julia's eyes sharpened instantly. She ran to the bedroom, pulled a black pistol from the back of a drawer, and returned to the living room. The knocking continued. "Who is it?" Julia shouted, gun in hand. No answer. Julia checked the peephole. Seeing the person outside, her pupils constricted. She took a deep breath and slowly opened the door. "Hello, Julia." The man outside smiled, glancing at the gun in her hand without fear. "First time meeting face to face. Let me introduce myself," the man said gently. "My name is Sterling. What are you two on the mithril pistol for?" Leo looked at Morgan and Gareth, puzzled. "Don't tell me you guys want to find the One Piece and become the Pirate King?" "I have no interest in the North Point Horde." Morgan shook his head, his voice deep. "I only want the lunar amber inside the Horde." Hearing this, Gareth, who hadn't cared much before, snapped his head toward Morgan. "You want the lunar amber too?" "What's the lunar amber?" Leo asked curiously. "Sounds fancy." Morgan ignored Gareth and addressed Leo. "Leo, the mithril pistol is useless to you. And from the looks of it, you aren't interested in the Horde, are you?" "Who says?" Leo bristled. "I want to be the Pirate King." Morgan and Gareth were speechless. Why did the pistol have to be in the hands of this idiot? "Nightmare, let's team up to kill Leo first, then decide who gets the pistol," Gareth proposed. Morgan looked at Leo, the implication clear. Leo raised an eyebrow. "How about this? You two fight. Winner gets the pistol from me." "Heh, Leo, do you take us for fools?" Gareth sneered. "Everyone in NYC knows your reputation. I believe a pig could fly before I believed a word out of your mouth. Even your father, David, probably doesn't trust you fully." Hearing the slander, Leo was furious. "Libel. Naked libel. I'm willing to hand over the pistol, and you still don't trust me? You're forcing my hand. Fine. If that's how it is, we all die together." Leo whipped out the mithril pistol. "You want this thing? I'll destroy it. Let's see you fight over dust." Leo acted as if he was about to crush the pistol right there. "Wait. Don't." Morgan and Gareth shouted in unison, terrified he would actually do it. "Leo, we can talk this out. That is the only key to the Horde." Gareth said earnestly, "If you destroy it, the North Point Horde is lost forever. That's a huge loss for the country. If you do that, how are you different from those spies?" Leo blinked. "Are you gaslighting me with morals?" Gareth choked, sensing trouble. "Apologize," Leo roared. "If you don't apologize, I break the gun right now." Gareth's face looked like he had swallowed a turd. "Count of three. 3, 2, 1. Leo made a move to exert force. Whoosh. Gareth exploded with speed, charging at Leo. Apologize? Never. If he apologized, what would become of his dignity? He had to gamble. He wasn't betting on Leo's hesitation. He was betting on Leo's fear of death. Morgan moved simultaneously, rushing Leo. Leo had two choices: destroy the gun and face a fatal combined attack, or pull back and dodge. Tisk, boring. Thought you guys might have some class. Leo knew he had no choice. He chose the most sensible option. Run. Chase me if you can. I have 10,000 men ambushing you up ahead. You're dead. Leo threatened as he ran. Gareth and Morgan chased silently. They knew Leo wouldn't dare run toward the main military base, leading two monsters that would cause massive casualties, and the military might not even be able to stop them. Actually, the mithril pistol and the North Point Horde weren't that important to Leo. The reason he didn't want to hand it over was simple. Since it was in his hands, it belonged to Leo Evans. "I can give it to you, but you can't take it. If you try to rob me, just wait. If I don't ruin you, I'm not the NYC Demon King." Leo looked back, teeth grit. Gareth and Morgan hadn't given up. "Fine, you like chasing? I got a present for you." Leo had a spark of inspiration and sprinted directly toward Bedlam. Inside the housing complex, Julia stared warily at the man before her. Sterling. The name was legendary. In North Point, you could know nobody else, but you knew Sterling. The man was a myth. "Is there something you need?" Julia tried to stay calm. "Aren't you going to invite me in?" Sterling smiled. "It's inconvenient to talk in the doorway." "We can talk here." Julia blocked the way. Sterling shook his head. "Even if we need to discuss the American spies?" Julia's pupils trembled violently. "You? How do you know?" "I know far more than you imagine." Sterling paused. "Now, are you sure you want to talk here?" Julia swallowed hard and stepped aside, letting Sterling in. Once the door closed, Julia gritted her teeth. "What do you want?" Sterling looked around, not rushing to ask his questions. He paced the room. Julia was the anxious one, not him. Observing a home revealed the resident's character. After a moment, Sterling turned to Julia, amused. "Don't be nervous. I bear you no ill will. I just want to ask a few questions." I don't know anything about the American side, Julia claimed. No, you do. You must, Sterling said, oppressive weight in his tone. He stared at her, enunciating each word. Tell me his identity. I told you, I don't know. He's your superior. He orchestrated everything years ago, and you coordinated with him. Sterling's voice dropped. You tell me you don't know? Do you think I'm stupid? Julia trembled. She slowly raised her hand, aiming the gun at Sterling. Leave. Or what? You'll shoot. Sterling cut her off. I don't have time for nonsense. You have 1 minute. 1 minute? What do you mean? Julia froze, a sense of dread filling her. Sterling spoke calmly. I planted a bomb in Grant's car. If I don't get the answer I want in 1 minute, the bomb detonates. If you don't speak, Grant dies. Julia went cold. Panic seized her. No. No. She dropped the gun and pulled out her phone, trying to warn Grant. The moment he picks up, the bomb detonates. Sterling's understated sentence froze her fingers. No. You wouldn't. Tears streamed down Julia's face. She begged, Grant is innocent. I beg you, don't hurt him. Sterling looked at her with ice-cold eyes. You have 40 seconds. I really don't know. Julia, I just want a name. Or an identity. Even a code name. Sterling said grimly. We were driven to desperation back then. Patriarch Sheen died because of you people. We stopped caring about so-called justice a long time ago. To root him out, I won't blink at the body count. Sterling's words terrified her. This was the first time she truly felt the horror of the man named Sterling. You have 20 seconds. I'll talk. Julia closed her eyes, sobbing. I only know his code name is the Vulture. He's currently a high-ranking official in the Frontier Defense. That's all I know. I really don't know anything else. Please don't hurt Grant. If you want revenge for the past, just kill me. Julia lowered her head, ready to die. However, Sterling stood up from the sofa, whispering softly. The Vulture. Frontier. High Command. His expression was unreadable. He looked at Julia gently. Thank you. Then, he turned to leave. Julia was stunned. You aren't going to kill me. Your crimes will receive their due punishment, Sterling smiled. Why should I act extrajudicially and cause trouble for myself? Julia stared at his face. Then, the bomb in Grant's car. Was it real? That? Take a guess. Sterling opened the door and walked out. Julia stood there, dazed, long after the door closed. Finally, she let out a breath of relief. Whether Sterling was bluffing or not didn't matter. She had prepared herself for this day long ago. As Sterling said, everyone has to pay the price for what they've done. The chase continued. Now, give it up. No one can save you. Run to the ends of the earth. We'll still hunt you down. Leo gritted his teeth at the taunts behind him. Bedlam was just ahead. His target was the town's armory. He had scouted its location earlier, impressed that these guys dared to stash munitions right under the military's nose. He had planned to raid it when they closed the net. Didn't expect to use it like this. You two like chasing? Fine. When all of North Point wakes up, let's see if you're still keen on chasing. Tonight, North Point would not sleep. Sleep? Screw sleep. Wake the hell up. Near Bedlam, Leo was sprinting toward the town, screaming his lungs out. Help! Murder! Is anyone going to do something? Damn you, Gareth Granger. How dare you come out here doing murder, arson, and robbery in the dark? You even blew up our boss. The hatred between us is irreconcilable. And you, Morgan, colluding with Gareth. I, Leo 9, look down on you. You're too ruthless, daring to set off explosions in North Point. Is there no law? Leo ran, but his mouth never stopped working. In a short time, he framed them for every crime in the book. And he was loud, terrified people wouldn't hear him. Now, shut up, Gareth roared. At this point, you still trying to hide behind a fake identity? Morgan added, Leo, I only want the mithril pistol. You want a turd? Leo cursed internally. Frank died because of you. If not for Frank, I'd have killed you already. You're jumping in my face now? Do you think I, Leo Evans, am a pushover? Seeing Bedlam right in front of him, Leo picked up speed. At the same time, he shouted to the people inside the town. Brothers, it's Leo 9. The boss has been ambushed. The enemy is chasing me. Cover me. His voice was booming, carrying for hundreds of meters. Those two sentences contained enough information to stun everyone in Bedlam. Leo 3 boss is being chased. The boss was ambushed. The enemy dares to attack our base? Screw that. Ambush our boss. Damn it. They dare chase him into town? Brothers, grab your gear. Let's teach them a lesson. Bedlam rides out. Leave no grass growing. Let's go. I want to see which blind fool dares. The people in Bedlam weren't saints. They hadn't seen action in years and were itching for a fight. A mob grabbed weapons and surged toward the entrance. Simultaneously, Leo arrived at the gate, crashing into them. "Brothers, be careful. The enemy is brutal. I'm wounded. I need to hide," Leo shouted, rushing past them into the depths of the town. They didn't even get a good look at his face. But they were confident because they saw Gareth and Morgan. I thought it was a big shot. Just two guys. One looks like a beggar, and the other is an old man. Just these two chasing Leo 3, boss. How badly hurt is he? Quit yapping. I'll take lead. Watch this." Seeing Gareth and Morgan's appearance, the mob sneered. Gareth frowned. "Move. Get out of the way." Morgan spat one word. "Move." Seeing their arrogance, a shirtless man in the crowd couldn't take it. It was the butcher Leo had met before. He walked out slowly, hefting 2 butcher knives. 2 things unaware of death. "Do you know where you are? Daddy's gonna make you reg or irk." The butcher didn't finish. A large hand clamped around his throat, cutting off his air. He looked down to see Gareth standing in front of him, lifting him off the ground by the neck with one hand. "I gave you a chance." Gareth's eyes were cold. He squeezed. Snap, a crisp sound. The butcher's eyes rolled back, and he went limp. The crowd froze. The vibe shifted instantly. "Brothers, don't be afraid. There's only 2 of them. Get them," someone shouted. With a roar, the mob swarmed forward. "Death wish." Gareth looked dark. He turned to Morgan. "Don't waste time. Let's do this together. Don't let Leo escape." Morgan nodded and charged alongside Gareth. Armory. Where was it again? Leo searched the town for the explosive storage. He quickly arrived at Buck's former villa. Gundam said Buck kept the town's weapons and explosives. Shiro wouldn't have had time to move them. Leo ran to Buck's old bedroom and expertly found a key in a hidden compartment of the wardrobe. He had installed HD cameras all over this villa. He knew what color underwear Buck wore, let alone where the keys were. Leo took the key to the basement. He opened the door to see piles of guns and ammo. "Tisk, less than I thought." Leo looked at it with mild disdain. But considering they were operating under the military's nose, this stockpile was impressive. Leo quickly moved all the explosives out. He knew the mob outside wouldn't hold those 2 monsters for long. It wasn't that the mob was weak. Gareth and Morgan were just freaks. If they could stop those 2, Leo would kowtow to them on the spot. Meanwhile, at the town entrance, the swarming mob was now carpeting the ground. Blood stained the earth red. Cough, act, art. Moans of pain filled the air. Gareth looked at the bodies, then up at Morgan. "Why didn't you kill them? Are you telling me what to do?" Morgan turned, meeting Gareth's gaze without fear. "If you want them dead, do it yourself." "Oomph." Gareth sneered. "At this stage, you're still playing the saint." Morgan didn't respond. He entered the town to find Leo. He couldn't be bothered to argue. His goal was the mithril pistol, the horde, and the lunar amber. Resurrection. Perhaps only the lunar amber offered hope. Even if it was a sliver, he wouldn't give up. If he did, he'd lose the will to live. The lunar amber. I must have it. Morgan's eyes were firmer than ever. Phew. Finally moved it all. Leo wiped non-existent sweat from his forehead, acting exhausted. Looking at the pile of explosives in the living room, he was satisfied. This won't blow up the entire town, will it? Leo worried slightly. But he was a pro. His years of demolition experience told him the payload was heavy, but not town-leveling. Thinking of this, Leo picked up his exclusive detonator, his sniper rifle. For some reason, since that night, his method of detonation had been bullets. Timers were too traditional. As long as he had a sniper rifle, it was go time. Leo slung the rifle, walked to the door, and shouted at the top of his lungs, "Gareth Granger, your daddy Leo is here. Come at me if you have the guts." "Morgan, don't say I didn't give you a chance. I'll take both of you on alone." With that, Leo turned and ran without hesitation. Inside the town, Gareth and Morgan heard the shout and immediately sprinted toward the villa. Moments later, they arrived simultaneously. They exchanged a look and charged in without hesitation. "Now, come out." Gareth's voice cut off as he saw the room full of explosives. Morgan saw it too. Their hearts dropped. "Bad. Run." Morgan only got half the word out. A bullet smashed through the window, striking the explosive's dead center. Boom! 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 Like a chain reaction, the entire villa detonated instantly. A massive explosion, accompanied by blinding red light, sent a shockwave ripping outward. The ground shook. Compared to this, Shiro's explosion earlier was child's play. Nearly everyone in North Point was jolted awake. Meanwhile, General Evans, Commander Hayes, and the others searching for Leo stared at the rising fireball and smoke in silence. They slowly turned their gaze to Adrian standing nearby. The look was interrogative. "What the hell is that?" Hayes roared. "Don't tell me Leo did this too." The suburban fire wasn't even out, and now this? Was he trying to blow North Point into orbit? Adrian pulled his cap lower, looking guilty. I don't know. I know nothing. Subconsciously, he felt this definitely had Leo written all over it. But, looking at that smoke, Adrian felt it was crucial that this had absolutely nothing to do with him. Look at how dark the officers' faces were. If this was Leo, Evans might execute his own grandson for righteousness. Hayes was having a breakdown. How many incident reports am I going to have to write? Get over there. Check the situation. And check the surveillance. Check it to death. Find me the lawless bastard who did this. Everyone else, calm the civilians. Hayes barked orders, then personally led Evans and the troops toward the explosion. In Master Silas's courtyard, Shane Quill and the others were also awakened. What happened? Earthquake? Not an earthquake. Looks like an explosion. What the hell? Let's go look. Shane and Silas went outside, staring at the distant fire, stunned. This scene, Shane murmured. It felt familiar. Hiss. When Sterling blew up Caldwell's Crossing, wasn't it just like this? Sterling went out, didn't he? Shane asked cautiously. Yeah, he said he had errands, Silas stammered. Both had a bad feeling. Did Sterling do this? Julian Reed stood by the window, glanced once and knew. Who provoked that psychopath now? Julian shook his head. Only Leo could make this kind of noise. Sterling? Maybe, but he wouldn't act like a loose cannon blowing up North Point. Compared to Julian's calm, the outside world was in chaos. What happened? Aliens attack. Looks like Bedlam. Maybe the military is cracking down on those thugs. Bullshit. There was a small blast in the suburbs earlier. I suspect terrorists. I heard shouting on the street earlier. Some idiot screaming about murder, arson, and Gareth Granger. Gareth Granger? The fugitive did this. What? He blew up the suburbs too. What? Gareth blew up Bedlam, and now he wants to blow up the base. What? Gareth blew up the base. Rumors flew. The military tried to calm people, but it was useless. They didn't know who started the fire either. The perpetrator, Leo, stood on the roof of an abandoned building, staring blankly at his handiwork. Might have overdone it. Leo swallowed. He admitted he was a bit careless. According to his calculations, those explosives shouldn't have caused this much destruction. But he forgot he had the passive skill high explosive. Any explosion caused by him had double power. If he hadn't run far enough, he might have been caught in the blast. Thankfully, Bedlam's surroundings were uninhabited, so no innocents were hurt. His phone rang. It was General Evans. Hello, Grandpa. Leo, where are you? I'm playing at a classmate's house. Silence on the other end. After a long pause, Evans spoke directly. Tell me the truth. Did you have anything to do with this? No, absolutely not me. Leo shook his head like a rattle drum. Admit to this? Never. However, Evans sighed. I haven't even said what this is yet. Leo's mouth twitched. Hello? What? Grandpa, the signal is bad here. I couldn't hear what you said. I'll call you back. Leo hung up immediately and exhaled heavily. Looking at the mess in front of him, Leo frowned. Now, what do I do? North Point, Bedlam. Or rather, the place formerly known as Bedlam. Because of the massive explosion, Bedlam had been almost leveled to the ground. It's unconscionable. Exactly. Totally inhumane. Who would do such a thing? If you ask me, those people in Bedlam did plenty of evil. It's karma. Don't give me that superstition crap. I believe someone came for revenge. Revenge? How much hate do you need to throw a party this big? Who knows? Proof that no matter where you go, the peanut gallery is always present. While most panicked and conspired, a group was always there just shooting the breeze. Meanwhile, at the epicenter, two charred figures crawled wretchedly out of the flames. Cough. Ugh. Gareth and Morgan opened their mouths, puffing out black smoke. They exchanged a look, glancing back at the sea of fire with lingering fear. That lunatic. Gareth's lips trembled. He's a complete lunatic. This explosion injured him far worse than the previous one. Pursuing Leo was now impossible. It was an open question who would be hunting whom. Morgan clutched his chest. He had dodged faster than Gareth, but the damage was significant. With a massive explosion like this, the military would arrive instantly. He didn't have the strength to fight the army now. Morgan didn't hesitate. He picked a direction and vanished. Gareth wasn't stupid. He made the same choice. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. Even though Garrett's face was unreadable under the soot, his internal rage was nuclear. He got played by Sterling when he first arrived, injured badly. He finally healed up, ready to make moves, and now this? Completely wrecked. Looking at his burned hands, Gareth wanted to flay Leo alive. He never expected Leo to openly detonate explosives in North Point, especially on this scale. Oomph. Even if I don't go after you, The military won't let this slide. Gareth knew that once the military found out Leo was behind this, the consequences would be severe. While thinking this, Gareth suddenly stopped and frowned. Before him, a crowd of people was staring at him with amazement. Look, someone walked out alive. A miracle. How many old ladies did he help cross the street in his past life to survive that? Bro, need help? You look cooked. Brother, what happened inside? Who started the fire? Buddy. Seeing the crowd swarming him with good intentions, Gareth realized he was in trouble. The attention of all North Point was focused here, and he was still a wanted man. Move! Gareth growled low. The crowd didn't like his tone. You look like a piece of charcoal. What are you acting tough for? Gareth prepared to strike, but a voice shouted out. Make way! Everyone make way! I'm from the military. Listen to me. It's dangerous here. Don't approach. Retreat outside the safety zone. Our people will be here to set up a perimeter soon. Colonel Grant pushed through the crowd, shouting. From his sweat and hoarse voice, it was clear he had run all the way here, yelling the whole time. He had originally come out to chase Leo and Gareth, but lost them halfway. When the explosion happened, he drove straight here. Military. Gareth frowned, suppressing the urge to kill. In his current state, face blackened by soot, no one could recognize him as Gareth Granger. If he attacked now and drew Grant's attention, he'd be in trouble. Surrounded by the army, in his condition, meant capture. What do I do? Gareth felt anxious. He regretted running this way. Comrade, are you okay? Grant noticed Gareth and shouted. Hang in there. The ambulance is almost here. He jogged up, shooing away the people circling Gareth. Scatter. Stop taking pictures. Grant, sweating profusely and panting, pulled out his ID. I am Colonel Grant. This location is dangerous. Please retreat. However, hearing Grant's identity, the photo takers didn't retreat. Their eyes lit up like they caught a big fish. Colonel Grant, is the military involved in this explosion? What about the explosion in the suburbs? Some say this is a military strike against Bedlam. Is that true? Has the military caught the culprit? Or any suspects? Colonel. Countless phones were shoved in Grant's face. The flashlights made the elderly man dizzy. Everyone. Grant felt nauseous but held himself up. I understand you have questions, but please retreat to the safety zone first, okay? It's dangerous here, secondary explosions. Obviously, that wasn't what they wanted to hear. No one left. Gareth looked at Grant standing in front of him and suddenly spoke. Officer, can you take me to the hospital first? It hurts. So bad. Hearing this, Grant turned immediately. Yes, yes, yes. Hang on, I'll get you out. Gareth smiled imperceptibly. Soon, an ambulance rushed to the scene. Grant waved frantically. Here, over here. Quick, there's a wounded man here. Save him first. Medics jumped out, immediately focusing on Gareth beside Grant. Holy crap, this guy is burnt to a crisp. Still alive? Despite their internal questions, they upheld their medical ethics and loaded Gareth onto the stretcher. Sir, how do you feel? Where does it hurt? A medic asked while lifting him. Gareth groaned on cue. Hurts. Everywhere. This ambulance was his only chance to escape safely before the main army arrived. Grant wanted to follow. This was the only survivor to walk out of the explosion. He might have crucial intel. Gareth secretly hoped Grant would come. Come on up, Colonel. I'll kill you myself. He planned to kill the medics and Grant once they reached a safe spot, then vanish. Killing Grant would enrage the military. Anger creates flaws. Flaws were opportunities. However, just as Gareth was fantasizing, a doctor stopped Grant. Colonel Grant, please stay here. Leave the patient to us. Trust us, we are professionals. He will survive in our hands. Since the doctor insisted, Grant didn't argue. He nodded solemnly. I leave him to you. He ran ahead to clear a path through the crowd for the ambulance. Slam! The doors closed and the driver floored it. Watching the ambulance speed away, Grant finally exhaled in relief. Not long after, the main military force arrived. Colonel. Major Shaw saw the exhausted Grant from a distance and ran over. Colonel, why are you here alone? Is that Shaw? Grant's voice was hoarse. Seeing the troops, he slumped to the ground, the weight finally lifting off his shoulders. Colonel, rest quickly. I'll get a medic to bring you some glucose. No, wait. Grant grabbed Shaw's hand, ordering in a low voice. Deploy men to evacuate the civilians, set up a perimeter. Also, send a team in to check for other survivors and rule out secondary explosions. Grant arranged everything meticulously. Shaw listened intently. After everything was set, Grant patted Shaw's shoulder. Shaw, I leave command to you. Don't worry, Colonel. Shaw smiled. Don't forget, you trained me. Grant smiled and nodded. This was the successor he trusted most. Soon, Shaw had everything running orderly. A medic walked over with a bottle of water mixed with glucose. Colonel, I heard there was a survivor. Where is he? Oh, thanks. He was just picked up by an ambulance and sent to the hospital. Picked up. The medic was confused. Impossible. All medical personnel and ambulances came with a military convoy. We are definitely the first wave. How could an ambulance arrive before us and take someone without orders? Grant paused, glucose bottle halfway to his mouth. What did you say? That wasn't your people? Could it be a civilian hospital ambulance? The medic shook his head. Unlikely. I said, we're the first wave. Even if they happen to pass by, an ambulance can't take patients without dispatch orders. Hearing this, Grant felt a chill. Shaw, he shouted. Before you arrived, an ambulance took a man. Find that vehicle. Shaw nodded. Yes, I'll check it immediately. Grant looked worried. He hoped he was overthinking it. On a street in North Point, an ambulance was speeding along. Gareth looked around and asked, Doctor, how long until we reach the hospital? No one answered him. The medical staff just stared at him silently. This strange behavior instantly alerted Gareth. He prepared to strike and kill them all, but found he couldn't control his body. What's happening? Gareth panicked. Why can't I move? A doctor quietly pulled down his mask, smiling. If you could move, wouldn't we all be dead? We pumped you full of enough drugs to drop an elephant. Barely kept you paralyzed enough to talk. Your constitution is terrifying. Gareth Granger. Hearing his name, Gareth truly panicked. You? Who are you? What do you want? Me? You forgot who I am. The doctor leaned into Gareth's face. Gareth looked closely. Who am I? Gareth stared at the face. Memories rewound. Finally, this face merged with one from the past. When he first arrived in North Point, the owner of that stew house. Horace. Dr. Horace Kane. Gareth gritted his teeth. You bastard. It's Horace Kane. Bingo. Horace laughed. Congratulations, you got it right. But sorry, no prize. Gareth's heart sank into the abyss. Horace, what do you think you're doing? Gareth Granger struggled violently, but it was no use. His limbs felt numb, completely devoid of sensation. What did you do to my body? Relax, it's just a mild paralytic, Dr. Horace Kane chuckled. If it were anyone else, that dose might have killed him 1,000 times over. But for you, it's just a little buzz. Just then, the vehicle came to a halt. The driver pulled down his mask and turned to look at them. It was Marco. This is the spot, right? Marco asked. Yeah, this is where he's said to meet, Horace replied. Marco nodded, pulled his mask back up, and fell silent. The others in the van did the same, as if waiting for a cue. Gareth felt a growing sense of unease. What are you people planning? Relax. We're not planning to do anything to you. We're just a hired help. What does that mean? As soon as Gareth spoke, a rhythmic tap-tap-tap sounded on the rear doors of the van. Here we go, Horace whispered, reaching out to open the doors. Gareth's eyes widened in shock when he saw the person standing there. Sterling. Sterling looked at him, frowning. Who's this guy? I told you to grab Gareth Granger. This is Gareth. He just got a little crispy from the explosion. Turned into a charcoal briquette, Horace explained. Sterling. Gareth was furious. You're the briquette. Your whole family are briquettes. Sterling, what do you want? Don't be nervous, just a few questions. Sterling hopped into the van, sat opposite Gareth and smiled. Rest assured, I have no interest in your life. Gareth snapped. You despicable scumbag is scheming and plotting all you know how to do. I don't have a choice. You're so powerful. If I didn't use schemes, how could I ever beat you? Sterling spread his hands, feigning helplessness. Besides, you killed your own father. In comparison, you're barely human, are you? Suddenly, his tone shifted, his gaze locking onto Gareth like a vice. Cut the crap. Let's get to the point. Gareth, you've been in contact with the vulture, haven't you? Gareth's pupils constricted. He growled low. I don't know what you're talking about. Sterling turned and glanced at Horace. Horace understood the signal perfectly. He reached into a medical kit beside him and pulled out a syringe filled with a dark liquid. Wait, what is that? Gareth had a very bad feeling as he eyed the black fluid. This, Horace grinned wickedly. This is my latest pharmaceutical creation. Once injected. What? What does it do? Gareth swallowed hard. Horace leaned in, his smile turning eerie. Permanent stérilité. Total, irreversible dysfunction. A chill ran down everyone's spine. Even Marco, sitting in the driver's seat, shuddered and glanced back at the black liquid, then at Horace's terrifying smile. Note to self. Never offend this guy, Marco thought. He's brutal. You're joking, right? Garrett's mouth twitched. I've never heard of a drug like that. I told you, I invented it, Horace said, moving the needle closer. You'll know if it works once you try it. It's fast-acting. If you ever father a child after this, I'll take your last name. Wait, I'll talk. I did have contact with his people. Gareth capitulated instantly, before the needle even touched his skin. However, Horace didn't stop. What are you doing? I said I'd talk. I'll tell you everything. Gareth's voice pitched up in panic. You do your talking, I'll do my injecting, Horace said, puzzled. Who said you didn't have to take the shot just because you confessed? You people. Gareth nearly passed out from rage. Why don't you play by the rules? All right, enough. We're short on time. Stop teasing him, Sterling laughed. Marco watched the scene, actually feeling a twinge of pity for Gareth. This was a man who killed his father for power, a man who could fight an entire army alone, someone who went toe-to-toe with Leo Evans. And now he was being toyed with by Sterling and Horace. It was tragic, truly tragic for Gareth to run into this group of lunatics. Maybe he was just born in the wrong era, Marco lamented. If Leo Evans and Sterling didn't exist, Gareth might have realized his ambitions. Instead, he's lying on a gurney, facing the risk of eternal dysfunction. Speak, Sterling said softly. The Vultures people. How did they contact you? If I'm not mistaken, they were the ones who told you Leo had a mithril pistol, right? Gareth nodded, sighed, and began to spill everything he knew. Meanwhile, at another location, Absolute Moral Bankruptcy. Who did this? Who could do something so conscience-stricken? Leo Evans stared at the flames before him, his face a mask of righteous indignation. Beside him, Lieutenant, Sarge, Sue, and the others extinguished the fire in silence. Nighthawk sneered at Leo's performance. If he wasn't afraid of Leo's retaliation later, he would have exposed him on the spot. If Leo didn't start this fire, Nighthawk would eat the ashes raw. But according to Leo's story, he had been hanging out at a classmate's house until the explosion occurred, arriving fashionably late. When asked which classmate, he wouldn't say. He just kept condemning the arsonist. At that moment, General George Evans and Commander Hayes arrived. Seeing the outraged Leo, both men had dark lines crossing their foreheads. Captain Evans, the commander and general are here, Sarge whispered. Leo, turn around. The moment he saw George Evans, before the general could speak, Leo shouted, Grandpa, this must be investigated. Strictly investigated. This criminal is lawless. They have no respect for our military district. George Evans' mouth twitched. Is it really appropriate for you to say that? Commander Hayes' face was even darker. Leo, tell me the truth. What's going on with this fire? He hoped Leo would just confess, so he could punish him with writing a report, and everyone could go home. However, contrary to Hayes' expectations, Leo's face turned solemn. He saluted and shouted, Report, Commander. I just received intelligence. The arsonist is our wanted fugitive, Gareth Granger. The culprit is Gareth Granger. Leo shouted the words with resonant conviction in front of everyone. The expressions on the faces of the crowd were magnificent. Those unfamiliar with Leo actually believed him, thinking Gareth had really done it. Sarge and his squad held an attitude of skepticism. General Evans and Commander Hayes held an attitude of severe skepticism. As for Nighthawk, he stood by his vow. If Leo didn't do it, he'd eat the rubble. Gareth caused this explosion? Commander Hayes asked, his mouth twitching. On what grounds do you say that? Where did you get this information? Listen, Leo, even though Gareth is a wanted man, we can't just frame him for things he didn't do. Hayes began a heartfelt lecture on the moral baseline of the military. If Gareth could hear Hayes right now, he would probably be moved to tears and sign a peace treaty with the military immediately. For the first time since arriving in North Point, someone was speaking up for him. However, Leo interrupted directly. Report, Commander. It really was Gareth. We have witnesses and physical evidence. He can't deny it. Hayes paused, a large question mark practically appearing over his head. Witnesses and evidence? Leo then dragged a dusty, disheveled man out from seemingly nowhere. Commander, this is a survivor I just discovered. He's a resident of Bedlam. He witnessed Garrett's atrocities with his own eyes. Everyone's gaze instantly locked onto the man. You're from Bedlam? Hayes asked with an imposing tone. Yes, my name is Harvey. I live in Bedlam, Harvey Gundam. He answered meekly, stealing fearful glances at Leo. He had been hiding comfortably in a hotel arranged by Leo until Leo suddenly dragged him out and covered him in dirt. But when it came to framing people, practice made perfect. Harvey's acting skills had improved rapidly. After Hayes verified Harvey's identity and confirmed he was indeed a Bedlam resident, he asked seriously, Tell me what happened. Was it really Gareth? Harvey lowered his head, trembling as if recalling a horror. A few hours ago, Gareth suddenly attacked our town. He started slaughtering people without a word. Our people went out to fight him, but we were no match. I was too cowardly, so I hid. Not long after, I heard Gareth screaming about making someone pay, and then the explosion happened. Harvey swallowed hard. That's all I know. I'm really innocent. I've never done anything bad in my life. Please don't arrest me. He dropped to his knees before Hayes. If Hayes hadn't caught him quickly, Harvey would have been banging his forehead on the ground. Get up, get up. As long as you haven't broken the law, we won't trouble you. Leo secretly gave Harvey a thumbs up. Teachable. Hayes turned to George Evans. What do you think? George didn't answer Hayes, but looked at his grandson. You said witnesses and material evidence. The witness is here. Where's the evidence? The evidence is right here. Leo suddenly pulled a piece of torn fabric from his pocket. I found this at the scene. Preliminary judgment suggests it matches the fabric of Gareth's clothes. Leo wasn't lying. It was Gareth's. He just hadn't found it at the scene. He'd ripped it off during their fight earlier. Seeing this, 90% of the people present believed Leo. It really was Gareth. Nighthawk shook his head. Leo had a black heart. He was treating Gareth like a sworn enemy of the state. Commander, I suggest we increase the bounty and effort to capture Gareth. A citywide manhunt, Leo said with a righteous face. To commit such a heinous act in North Point is to trample on the dignity of our military. As a captain, I absolutely cannot allow such a person to remain at large. Hayes' mouth twitched. You said everything I was going to say. What's left for me? You want my job? Put out the fire first, Hayes sighed. Looking at this blaze, it's going to take some time. George nodded. Leave this to Major Shaw. We need to go back and interrogate Shirokiri. Hearing their conversation, Leo's ears perked up. Shirokiri? That guy is still alive? Tough luck. Grandpa, I'll go with you, Leo suddenly said. I had a lot of contact with Shiro in Bedlam. I'm the most suitable person to interrogate him. George and Hayes exchanged a look. Theoretically, that made sense, but the person saying it was unreliable. Before Hayes could object, Leo turned around and barked orders. Sarge, Private Cloud, you two coordinate with Major Shaw on the scene. As captain, I have urgent matters to attend to with the commander. After I leave, you follow Major Shaw's orders. Do you understand? Sarge and the others' faces darkened, but they grumbled. Understood. Leo nodded with satisfaction, then looked at Hayes. Commander, time is of the essence. Let's go. Interrogating the spy is critical. With that, Leo walked right past Hayes toward a distant jeep. Hayes was bewildered. After a moment, he whipped around, pointing incredulously at Leo, then at himself, asking George, Is he the commander, or am I? George rolled his eyes at him. You picked him, why ask me? Who was it that acted like they were on steroids, insisting he join as a captain? George's words silenced Hayes. In the distance, Leo stuck his head out of the car window. Commander, why are you spacing out? Let's move. Hayes' face turned even darker. He felt it was necessary to give Leo a lesson on respecting superior officers. However, before class could begin, Leo's vehicle roared to life, drifted around a sharp turn, and sped off toward the base. Commander, I'm going ahead. Not waiting for you. Leo's voice drifted back as the car got further and further away, leaving Hayes and George standing in the wind. A cloud of exhaust fumes gently caressed their cheeks. George suddenly slapped his forehead. Bad news. It's fine, we have other cars, Hayes comforted him. No, I mean the person in charge of Shirokiri right now is Colonel Stone, right? George sucked in a cold breath. He and Leo, they aren't going to start a war, are they? Oh, SHD. Why didn't you say so earlier? Hayes realized the impending disaster. Hurry, after him. The two scrambled into a car and raced toward the military base. On a deserted street in North Point, an ambulance sat quietly by the roadside, its lights dark. That's the whole story. Gareth exhaled a long breath. The Vulture's people found me. They wanted me to get the mithril pistol and open the hoard. I only wanted the lunar amber. The rest of the hoard would go to them. Based on this deal, their people in North Point, and even on the frontier, would do everything in their power to help me. The information about Leo having the mithril pistol also came from them. Sterling nodded slowly as he listened. It seemed Leo had been targeted by the Vulture as well. Boss, what exactly is the Vulture? Horace couldn't help but ask. Is it the person we're looking for? Sterling shook his head. From the looks of it, the Vulture isn't just one person. It's an organization, a top-tier international espionage ring deeply rooted in this country. According to Gareth, the contact wore a black fox mask and called himself Seven Tails. These people are far more troublesome than I imagined. Sterling pinched the bridge of his nose, muttering, It seems ordinary methods won't root them out. So far, We've only caught small fry. The thought of all the energy wasted on pawns made Sterling irritable. Forget it. Tomorrow morning, I'll dump the list on the military and let them make the arrests. The target has appeared. The minions don't matter anymore. All right, I've told you everything I know. Gareth looked at Horace with fear in his eyes. You can let me go now, right? Horace turned to Sterling. What's the call? Kill him or cripple him? Gareth, you have no honor, he screamed, condemning these demons and their shameless conduct. Horace spread his hands. Honor? How much is that worth per pound? Gareth was dumbfounded. He had always considered himself a villain. But looking at this, who are the real bad guys here? Was there anyone who would speak up for him? As if sensing the injustice in Gareth's heart, a sudden explosion roared. Boom! The ambulance was blasted onto its side. The violent shaking forced Sterling and the others to grab the overhead handles. Before they could recover, the rear doors were wrenched open. Click-clack. Several black gun muzzles pointed directly at Sterling and his crew. Gareth, you disappoint me. A voice spoke as a figure slowly walked out from behind the armed men. He wore a black fox mask. It's you. Gareth gritted his teeth. Things changed. That monster, Wraith, showed up. Otherwise, I would have had the mithril pistol. The fox masked man waved his hand lightly, and his men moved in to rescue Gareth. Sterling and his team watched helplessly as Gareth was pulled from the wreck. You are Seven Tails? Sterling looked at the fox masked man. I've been looking for you for a long time. He couldn't count how much effort and blood he had spent to dig these people out. Now, seeing Seven Tails in the flesh, the corners of Sterling's mouth twitched upward uncontrollably. You finally showed up. Ha ha. Despite the guns pointed at him, Sterling began to laugh maniacally. Ha ha. I finally see you. Seven Tails looked at Sterling's state and said indifferently, Since you see us, you can die. Bang, bang, bang. Gunshots rang out, but it wasn't Sterling or his men who fell. What? Seven Tails' eyes widened as he watched his own subordinates drop one by one. He spun around, trying to find the shooter. Sterling continued to laugh wildly, ignoring everything else. Horace slowly stepped out of the overturned vehicle, his body trembling as he looked at Seven Tails, whispering, Patriarchine. I see them. Simultaneously, several figures emerged from the shadows, the shooters who had just taken out the gunman. Louis walked out of the darkness, a cigarette dangling from his lips. His gaze was fixed on Seven Tails, filled with endless hatred. I see you. Louis gritted his teeth, repeating, I finally see you. Surrounded, Seven Tails lost his earlier composure. He panicked. This is a trap? Correct, Horace said, his eyes dark and venomous. Everything tonight was for you. For all of you. Gareth lay on the ground, staring at these men who seemed possessed by demons. The moment Seven Tails appeared, these people changed. What the hell was happening? Seven Tails, thank you. Sterling stepped down from the wreck, smiling broadly. If you hadn't shown up tonight, honestly, I might have had a breakdown. Thank you for appearing. Since you're here, well, the breakdown belongs to you now. He approached Seven Tails step by step, his expression becoming savage. With each step, Sterling asked a question. You are Seven Tails? So how many tails do you have? Is your leader one tail? Or do they have another title? Did he orchestrate the Manhattan incident? Or did you all do it together? How many tails are in North Point? In NYC? Anywhere else? Are you local? Or are you from all over? Can you tell me? I'm really curious. Finally, Sterling stood right in front of Seven Tails, staring deep in his eyes with crushing pressure. Tell me, the people who killed Patriarch Sheen, who ruined Louis's family, who reduced us to this state. Was it you? Was it all of you? Sterling roared. Seven Tails, terrified and trembling, collapsed his knees in front of him. Seven Tails finally realized he had made a mistake. A massive mistake. He had revealed himself, just to save Gareth. And now it wasn't just him. The entire Vulture organization was in trouble. Big trouble. In that moment, Seven Tails was filled with regret. He never imagined that everything today was a setup designed specifically for him. Ultimately, Gareth Granger was too important to the Vulture. His monstrous strength, if utilized correctly, could smooth the path for all of the organization's operations. That was why, when Gareth was captured, Seven Tails had no choice but to show himself to attempt a rescue. Sterling, you won this round. Seven Tails slowly lifted his head, his voice low. But don't delude yourself into thinking you'll get any information about the Vulture from me. I die, and the next Seven Tails will appear. We will exist forever. Even if you see us, you will never catch us. With that, Seven Tails slowly raised his gun, pressed it against his own temple, and pulled the trigger. Bang! A gunshot rang out. Seven Tails collapsed in front of them. Throughout the entire process, not a single person moved to stop him. Gareth was dumbfounded. What the hell kind of plot twist is this? This isn't the script I was given. I'm supposed to be the big bad villain. At this moment, Gareth's mindset underwent a massive shift. Before, relying on his strength, he looked down on everything, thinking he was in control. But now, it seemed he had always been a pawn. From beginning to end, nothing had changed. Boss, you just let him die? Horace looked at the corpse, unable to help himself. Maybe I could have tortured something out of him. No need, Sterling said indifferently. One tail is exposed. Can the other tails stay hidden? Let's go. The commotion was loud. It'll be trouble if the military shows up. The ambulance was totaled, but Louis had brought enough men and cars for a full evacuation. What about this guy? Louis pointed at Gareth. Kill him or cripple him? Gareth's mouth twitched. Can't you people be a little kind? Gareth Granger, don't claim to be a saint, but I don't go around killing and maiming people at the drop of a hat like you guys. Sterling turned back, pondered for a moment, then said, Leave him here. Let him rot. His tone was like discarding an unwanted stray dog. It was an insult unlike anything Gareth had ever felt. Sterling, you can kill a warrior, but you cannot insult him. I have dignity. Yeah, sure you do. Sterling waved his hand impatiently and got into a car without giving him another glance. Horace and Louis followed suit, saying nothing more. The drug will last a while longer. Hang in there. Horace grinned insidiously. Gareth glared at him, swearing inwardly that once he recovered, the first person he'd kill would be Horace Kane. That man was pure evil. Soon, Sterling and his group evacuated, leaving only Gareth and a pile of corpses. Gareth lay on the ground, motionless, practically a corpse himself. He prayed he could regain mobility before the military arrived. Time passed. Finally, Gareth felt sensation return to his limbs. Ugh, he grunted, forcing himself to stand. He intended to leave immediately, but then, remembering something, he turned back and stumbled toward Seven Tails' body. He reached down and peeled off the black fox mask, revealing the face beneath. It was the face of a passerby. Ordinary, completely forgettable. Gareth didn't say a word. He took the fox mask and slowly limped away from the area. Meanwhile, at the military base. Thanks, brother. Your driving isn't bad, but you're not as good as a buddy of mine. Before getting out of the car, Leo waved to the driver. The driver broke into a cold sweat. Captain Evans, you flatter me. Please fix that speeding ticket for me. He was speechless. Ever since General Evans' grandson arrived in North Point, he hadn't driven a single trip without speeding. Even the rule-abiding Commander Hayes had been driving over the limit lately. He didn't know where the infection started. After the driver left, Leo intended to kick open the door to the interrogation room. But mid-kick, he stopped. No, I'm a military captain now. I must mind my manners. A sudden bout of politeness caused Leo to retract his foot and knock instead. Knock, knock, knock. Who is it? Colonel Stone's voice came from inside. Me, Leo Evans. Lao, what do you want? I'm Busse. Commander Hayes sent me to interrogate the spy. No need. We're already doing it. Really? Let me in to watch. This is an interrogation room. Unauthorized personnel are forbidden. Hearing this, Leo raised an eyebrow. Une autorise de personnel? Leo exhaled a long breath, took a few steps back, and then, wham! He kicked the interrogation room door off its hinges. Colonel Stone stared blankly at the broken door, then rage flooded his face. Lao, do you know what you're doing? Breaking into an interrogation room carries severe punishment. Leo stood in the doorway, blinked, and spread his hands innocently. I know. That's why I didn't break in. You call this not breaking in? Which I saw me enter the room. Leo didn't flinch. He shouted back, Colonel Stone, I know you don't like me, but you can't frame me like this. I'm standing in the hallway. Not even a foot, not even a single hair has crossed the threshold. You call that breaking in? Stone was dumbfounded. The others in the room were equally confused. Technically, Leo hadn't entered. Not even half a foot. But, did that count? Stone sputtered for a moment before saying, but you kicked the door down. So what? Leo looked confused. I see Nighthawk kick doors when he's in a bad mood all the time. Is there a rule against kicking doors? Who knew this door was so flimsy? One kick and it broke. Everyone was speechless. Colonel Stone was too angry to speak. The problem was, technically, nothing Leo said was wrong. But everything he did was wrong. Then, leave now. Stone took a deep breath. I'll pretend the door incident didn't happen. Leo stood his ground, motionless, and spoke again. There's no military regulation saying I can't stand in the hallway outside an interrogation room, right? It's fine, you guys interrogate. I'll just stand here and stargaze. Stargaze? Look at the stars. We're in here interrogating a prisoner, and you're out there stargazing? Is that appropriate? Actually, the stars are pretty bright tonight, someone blurted out without thinking. He was immediately glared at by Colonel Stone and meekly lowered his head. Leo, what exactly do you want? Stone frowned. Leo grinned. Nothing much. Just have some questions I want to ask Shiro Kiri. I knew it. Stone sneered. I advise you to give up. That guy's mouth is sealed tight. He hasn't said a single word so far. Leo's eyes widened in mock shock. No way. Are you guys professionals or not? That comment upset everyone in the room. Colonel Stone, with all due respect, someone said indignantly, he is practically trampling on our profession. Exactly. A little captain who knows nothing dares to question the professionalism of the interrogation division. Our methods are extremely cruel and ruthless. It's not that we're incompetent. It's that the suspect's bones are too hard. Leo raised an eyebrow. Cruel and ruthless? Really? Oomph. You'd probably be scared just hearing about them. Leo was instantly interested. I have some methods too. Want to compare? Everyone paused. What methods do you have? Quite a few. For example, Leo rubbed his chin, speaking casually. Feed him some extremely potent aphrodisiacs, then throw him into a pig pen or a horse stable. Silence fell over the room. The people who were just bragging about their ruthless methods were now stunned. Then take some photos and videos. Doesn't he have a brother named Chizuru Kiri? Send them to his brother and his family. Or threaten him directly. If he doesn't confess, upload the video to the entire internet in his home country, preserved for eternity. Leo's understated tone made everyone's scalp tingle. They realized now that compared to Leo, the professionals were like green recruits. Pro. Professional. Too professional, someone stammered. This is on a completely different level. Is this talent? Hard work is nothing in front of him. Captain Evans, are you interested in moonlighting as the chief of the interrogation division? Colonel Stone watched this unfold, black lines appearing on his forehead. Just then, Commander Hayes and General George Evans arrived. From a distance, they saw Leo and Stone in a standoff next to the kick-down door. Their hearts sank. The situation they worried about had happened. However, as they approached, they heard the interrogation staff asking Leo to be their chief. Hayes was dumbfounded. Leo, the chief of interrogation? What about the current chief? I abdicate. The original chief of interrogation raised his hand and shouted. Captain Evans' methods shame me into inferiority. Only such talent deserves the position of boss. Hayes and George were confused, but when they learned of the methods Leo proposed, they fell into a deep silence. George pulled Leo aside. You brat, where did you learn this stuff? Leo blinked and answered without hesitation, My dad taught me. That bastard. How could he teach you such things? George was furious. It was bad enough David Evans, Su Wendong, was a delinquent, but corrupting his grandson? All right, save that for later. Business first. Hayes, ever the professional, looked at Stone. Well, did you get anything? Stone shook his head. Shiro Kiri won't speak. It's clear he'd rather die than yield. Hayes frowned. This was troublesome. He couldn't actually let Shiro die. As Chizuru Kiri's brother, he was more useful alive. How about, we try Chief Evans' method? Someone suggested, already using Leo's new title. Everyone looked at the speaker. Saying it was one thing, doing it was another. Honestly, none of them had the stomach for it. Seeing this, Leo sighed. I'll go chat with him first. If that doesn't work, then Colonel Stone will have to drug him. Why me? Stone shrieked. It's your idea. Shouldn't you do it? Colonel Stone, at a time like this, you're worrying about that? Leo frowned, criticizing him severely. As a senior officer, you shoulder unprecedented responsibility. Everything you do is for the military. In the face of national righteousness, how can you care about such trivial details? Stone's face turned black. Aren't you part of the military too? You're a captain. I can quit being captain. Can you quit being colonel? Leo shut Stone down with one sentence. He made it sound like he didn't care about the rank at all. If I leave the military, I'm still the burrito king. You be selling burritos at the gate. Enough. Stop arguing. Hayes interrupted, feeling a headache coming on. He sighed. Let Leo go in and try. Since the commander had spoken, no one objected, except for a grumpy Stone. Soon, Leo was led to the room where Shiro Kiri was being held. Chief Evans, Shiro is inside, the guide said with a smile. It seemed Leo's new title was solidified. Leo felt a little embarrassed. Leo thanked him, pushed the door open, and saw Shiro Kiri sitting in a chair. He was bandaged, clearly treated for the wounds from the explosion. Shiro looked up at Leo, frowning slightly. The man looked familiar. Leo sat down in front of him and smiled. Leader, don't recognize me? Hearing this, Shiro's pupils contracted. He superimposed Leo's face onto a specific face from before. You are Leo 9. Shiro gritted his teeth. You're actually with the military? Shiro stared at Leo. By now, he realized that Leo 9 was an undercover agent planted by the military. So that explosion. Yep, I left the explosives in your car and walked off with an empty suitcase. Leo nodded with a grin. If you had just waited for me instead of running off on your own, none of this would have happened, right? And you got yourself blown up like that. Doesn't it hurt? Shiro gritted his teeth, staring at Leo with eyes full of resentment. Hurt? Of course it hurt. But seeing Leo right now made his heart hurt even more. Then, was Louis also framed by you? Nah, he was undercover too, just not for the military. Hearing this, Shiro nearly vomited blood. Two massive moles right next to him. How was he supposed to play this game? Who did he offend to deserve this? I just wanted to go home. Shiro completely broke down. He choked back a sob. I just wanted to return to my hometown to see the cherry blossoms one more time. Leo's mouth twitched, black lines forming on his face. Bro, you're making me look like the villain here. See cherry blossoms? Why didn't you say so earlier? Leo spread his hands. There are a few cherry trees on the back hill of the base. If you wanted to see them, you could have asked. We could be accommodating. Why did you have to organize a destroy the military base operation? What do you know? Shiro roared. Is it the flowers I want to see? I want to go home. Why are you yelling at me? Leo roared back louder. I didn't arrest you. Yell at whoever caught you. Outside the interrogation glass, Commander Hayes and the others listened to the dialogue in silence. After a moment, someone whispered, won't Chief Evans doing this provoke the suspect? Everyone glanced at him, but said nothing. Provoke? This wasn't provocation. Couldn't they see Shiro had been having a mental breakdown since Leo walked in? They almost felt sorry for Shiro. Anyone else might have tried reasoning or appealing to emotion, using home and cherry blossoms as leverage for a deal. But unfortunately, the interrogator was Leo. You want to go home? Go ahead. You want to see flowers? Look, you can't leave. Not my problem. I didn't arrest you. Inside the room, Shiro took deep breaths, trying to calm himself. Now, what do you want? Obviously, I'm interrogating you. Then ask something. Shiro shouted. You've been here since you walked in and haven't asked a single question. Why are you yelling so loud? Leo yelled back, even louder than Shiro. Look at your attitude. If I ask you a question, will you answer honestly? Asking is a waste of time, so why should I ask? Shiro looked up at the ceiling, his eyes filled with despair. You won't ask? Then why the hell did you come in? Just to stab my heart? Hayes and the others, separated by glass, could feel Shiro's collapse. Some of the staff even took out notebooks. Professional. Chief Evans is too professional. I've never seen such a novel interrogation technique. Just a few lines of dialogue, without asking a single question, completely destroyed the opponent's psychological defense. Chief Evans' methods are truly breathtaking. Stone listened to these comments, his eyes twitching. Interrogation? He just being a jerk. The next second, they heard Shiro say, I demand a different interrogator. I don't want to see you anymore. He couldn't afford to offend him, but he could hide, right? Hearing this, the interrogation staff's eyes lit up. Now is when his defense is weakest. If someone else goes in, maybe we can get something. It's like good cop, bad cop. Hayes was about to send someone in when they heard Leo speak. You're a spy, and you're making demands? You switch when you say switch. You stay when you say stay. What if we switch to one of your sleeper agents hiding in the military and they help you escape? Everyone outside had black lines on their faces. How dare he? That implies there are accomplices among us. Shiro was about to vomit blood. He didn't want to say another word to Leo, but Leo had no intention of letting him off. Leo pulled out his phone and, right in front of Shiro, dialed a number. It took a long time for the call to connect. Hello, Major Griffin. Yeah, it's Leo. Hayes and the others paused. Why was Leo calling Griffin? Shiro, despite trying to ignore Leo, couldn't help but focus his attention. Leo spoke slowly into the phone. So, you're at the frontier, right? Do me a favor. You know Chizuru Kiri? Pretty well, right? Pass a message to him for me. Tell him I have a video of his brother and a pig doing that in a pig pen. If he doesn't want me to spread the video all over his country, he needs to trade some core secrets. Of course it's real. The man and the pig are ready. Filming starts in a bit. I'm the director. Guaranteed to be a cinematic masterpiece. All right, thanks. I'll treat you to a burrito in Ethelberg later. Leo hung up, opened his camera, and pointed it at Shiro. Come on, smile. Click. Leo snapped a photo of Shiro in his current state and sent it to Griffin. Then he held down the voice message button. See, I've got Shiro right here. Talk later. Filming is starting. Shiro was completely bewildered. Only now did he react. Wait, he roared. Now, Leo, you were joking just now, right? Leo looked at him strangely. Who's joking? The pigs are waiting outside. Colonel Stone is coming personally to drug you in a minute. Don't be nervous. It's my first time directing too. I'm more nervous than you. Leo smiled brilliantly at Shiro. But don't worry, I'll do my best to make every shot count. After all, this is my directorial debut. It's going to be distributed in your country. Looking at Leo's smile, Shiro saw a demon. He practically saw two red horns and black wings sprouting from Leo. Outside, Hayes and the others listened to Leo's speech, their expressions turning unnatural. He wouldn't actually do that, right? Probably not. There are no pigs outside. The pig farm isn't far from here, though. Someone fearless even leaned over to Colonel Stone and whispered, Colonel, do you need me to get the drugs? Stone glared at him. Get drugs? To feed you. Are you all just messing around like Leo? He turned to Hayes. Commander, we can't let Leo continue. What is this becoming? Even General George Evans stayed silent this time. He secretly cursed David Evans. How did he raise my good grandson to be like this? I remember Leo always had good grades. In his eyes, children with good grades usually had good morals. Of course, that didn't mean Leo had bad morals. He did pass his ethics class in college. Hayes frowned, hesitating. Let's wait and see. Leo probably wouldn't really do it. He didn't think so, but Shiro certainly did. In Shiro's eyes, Leo was no longer a human being. He was a demon with no bottom line. You can't do this. Your cultural virtues wouldn't allow you to do something so devoid of moral standing. Now, I believe you are a man of character and quality. You would absolutely not do that. Shiro desperately tried to persuade Leo to turn back to the shore, the fear on his face undiminished. The crowd outside watched this bizarre scene. A spy meant to be interrogated was trying to persuade his interrogator to find Jesus. Why does Chief Evans look more like the villain? Someone said it, and everyone nodded. Inside, facing Shiro's persuasion, Leo looked indifferent. Whether I have morals isn't defined by others. It's scientifically verified. From childhood to adulthood, I've always passed my ethics classes. That's proof enough that I'm a moral person. Anyone who questions my character needs to bring out their report card and battle me first. This statement silenced not only Hayes and the others, but also Shiro, who had never experienced the education system here. Leo pointed at Shiro. What did you get in ethics? Huh? Shiro stammered. I never took it. You never took it, yet you're lecturing me on virtue? Leo pointed an accusing finger. You're not even from here. Shiro was speechless. Leo waved his hand. Camera crew, lighting, makeup. Get the actor ready. We're rolling. Wait, Shiro screamed. I'll talk. I'll tell you everything. Oh, Leo smiled. You'll answer whatever I ask. Shiro swallowed hard. Do I have another choice? Sure. You can make your debut as an adult film star. Enough. Stop talking. Shiro gritted his teeth. Leo, I'll remember you. Even if I die and become a vengeful spirit, I'll remember you. Leo flashed his pearly whites. Unlucky for you. I have connections down there too. A badass scientist and a badass killer are both my people. If you really become a ghost, best not mention you're my enemy. You'll only suffer more. Shiro looked weirded out. Finally, he sighed deeply, giving up the struggle. Ask what you want. Outside, Hayes and the others smiled. Leo had actually succeeded. Hayes quickly spoke through the earpiece. Leo first asked for the data on all spies in North Point. However, Leo ignored the command. He looked at Shiro and spoke word by word. Shiro Kiri, I only asked my questions twice. After 2 times, if I don't hear the answer I want, get ready for your close-up. Shiro looked into Leo's eyes. He knew Leo wasn't joking, but he was prepared. The trivial questions didn't matter. As long as they didn't know that identity, they couldn't get the truly valuable intelligence. As Shiro thought this, Leo's flat voice rang in his ears. How many tails are you? W what? Shiro snapped his head up, looking at Leo in disbelief. Hayes and the others were confused. They didn't understand why Leo asked such a question. But those 4 simple words caused a massive wave in Shiro's heart. You? How do you know? Shiro's lips trembled. How could you possibly know? Leo's eyes remained calm. I said I only asked twice. This is the 2nd time. Think clearly before you answer. Tell me you are. How many tails? Shiro looked into Leo's calm eyes, sweat pouring from his forehead. He felt as if he were carrying a mountain on his back, crushing him with pressure. Finally, driven by the pressure, Shiro answered, trembling. I am. 3 tails. Hearing this answer, the corner of Leo's mouth lifted slightly. He continued, how many tails are in North Point? 4. Besides me, there are 7 tails, 5 tails, and 9 tails. Where is your leader right now? I don't know. We don't know anything about the leader. We just collectively call him the Vulture. All missions and orders are issued by him personally. Leo nodded. He glanced at the glass. Although he couldn't see through it, he knew Hayes was there. Slowly, he said, tell me everything about the Vulture. Shiro looked at Leo deeply. Then he spoke solemnly. Leo, I don't know how you know about the Vulture, but you must promise me one thing. I tell you everything about the Vulture, and you must guarantee my personal safety and let me return home safely. Otherwise, no matter what, I won't reveal another shred of information. Shiro's gaze was filled with resolve. If it was just spy stuff, fine, but regarding the Vulture, he had room to negotiate. Ethelberg, beside a nameless little lake. Anthony Reed leaned back in his reclining chair, leisurely soaking up the sun, staring at the calm surface of a lake, and taking a sip of ice-cold beer. This is the life. Anthony looked content. This was the life he had always yearned for. Of course, if he actually caught a fish today, instead of getting skunked, it would be even better. Just then his phone rang. Anthony raised an eyebrow and checked. It was Leo Evans. Can't take this call. Although he didn't know why, Anthony's sharp intuition, honed over years, told him a call from Leo meant trouble. So, he set the phone aside and pretended not to see it. Only after Leo called 3 times did Anthony receive a text message. Uncle Anthony, you wouldn't want Auntie Julia to know about your secret stash, would you? Seeing this message, Anthony's pupils contracted violently. How does this kid know? Anthony instantly realized. The only one who knew about the stash was Julian. And if Julian knew, that meant Ava knew. If Ava knew, it wasn't strange for Leo to know. Just my luck. Helpless, Anthony called Leo back. The moment the call connected, Anthony switched faces instantly. Laughing, son-in-law. My phone was on silent, didn't see you call. Is there something urgent? Uncle Anthony, do me a favor. Leo asked directly. Is Ava back in Ethelberg? Ava? Anthony paused. I don't know. Has she not been back to the Reed estate? I've been out fishing for the last 2 days. Hearing Anthony feign ignorance made Leo's mouth twitch. Why don't you call Ava and ask? Anthony asked strangely. Did you 2 fight? Let me tell you, fighting is fine, but don't talk about divorce. You young people these days, divorcing at the drop of a hat. In my opinion, the divorce rate in Ethelberg is driven up by you guys. A man apologizing isn't shameful. Anthony rambled on. Leo had black lines on his forehead. Heaven is my witness. I never mentioned the word divorce. Anthony was still nagging on the other end, so Leo interrupted. Uncle Anthony, can you help me persuade Ava to stay in Ethelberg? Otherwise, she seems like she wants to come to North Point to find me. It's dangerous here, spies and terrorists everywhere. You don't know, last night, Gareth Granger was blowing things up all over North Point. It was unconscionable. Originally, Anthony didn't think much of it, but hearing the word blowing, his face turned unnatural. Are you sure it was Gareth doing the blowing up and not you? Uncle Anthony, what are you saying? If it were me, would the military let me off? Leo said righteously. Besides, why would I blow things up in North Point for no reason? Anthony remained silent. That's not the point, Leo said anxiously. The point is Ava. Uncle Anthony, how can we let Ava come to such a dangerous place? After a long pause, Anthony sighed deeply and spoke earnestly. Son-in-law, it's not that I don't want to help you. It's that I can't help you. At this moment, Anthony could guess with his toes that Leo had absolutely angered Ava. Go touch Ava's bad luck right now? He wasn't stupid. What if Ava took it out on him? He didn't dare provoke her either. But Anthony, being an old fox, didn't refuse explicitly. Instead, he said euphemistically, how about this, son-in-law? I'll try my best to persuade the girl. If it really doesn't work, then I have no choice. You're on your own. Uncle did his best, okay? Leo knew immediately that Anthony was unreliable. He sighed inwardly. Uncle Anthony, since it's like this, don't blame me. Verbally, he said, thanks, Uncle Anthony. I'll bring you some North Point specialties when I get back. After exchanging pleasantries, they hung up. Putting down the phone, Anthony waved his hand, summoning 2 Reed family subordinates. Ava seems to be back in Ethelberg. Find out her itinerary and pick her up at the airport. If she asks about me, say I'm busy with very important matters. Got it. The 2 nodded. Then Anthony added, also, Ava going to North Point is very important. Once she's done in Ethelberg, send her to North Point as fast as possible. Make it quick. Let the young couple solve their own problems. I'm not getting involved. With that, Anthony picked up his beer and took another sip. Good son-in-law, this is the first lesson your uncle is teaching you. Evasion never solves the problem. Meanwhile, far away in North Point, Leo looked at his phone and sighed. Uncle Anthony, a dead Taoist is better than a dead priest. I have no choice. I saved your life in NYC back then. Just consider this repaying that favor. He immediately messaged Marco, telling him to contact the Reed family in Ethelberg to find out when Ava was coming to North Point, so he could be fully prepared. Honestly, fighting Gareth last night wasn't this stressful. But speaking of Gareth, Leo sat by the hotel window, gnawing on a bun, looking down at the street. Overnight, the military had finally issued an announcement. After investigation and evidence collection, it is confirmed that the culprit behind last night's explosions in North Point is the wanted fugitive, Gareth Granger. After unanimous consultation by high-level military officials, it has been decided to raise Gareth Granger's wanted level to maximum. Anyone providing information on Gareth's whereabouts will be rewarded $10,000. Originally, the name Gareth Granger had been fading from memory in North Point. But now, Gareth's name was known to everyone. His heinous acts of murder, arson, and looting were widely disseminated. Many people even exaggerated, fabricating deeds Gareth had never done. For a time, anyone mentioning Gareth couldn't help but spit. He had been molded by public opinion into public enemy no. 1. Gareth bombed Bedlam last night. Bedlam is right next to the military base. He's declaring war on the military. When Gareth was in NYC, he committed all kinds of crimes. I heard he wiped out the entire Granger family. More than that, I heard Gareth. He eats people. Oh my God. With a monster like that in North Point, how can we sleep at night? Exactly. Yesterday, he bombed Bedlam. Who knows where he'll bomb today or tomorrow? No matter the era, as long as people exist, gossip exists. With more people, there's more gossip. With more gossip, there are more victims. Rumors spread faster than the flu. People cracked seeds between their teeth, words tumbling over their tongues. Snap. Just like that, they chewed up someone's life. Gareth felt this acutely. Before, he was just wanted. Not many people actually cared. But now, being in North Point felt like the whole world was his enemy. But that was fine. If he really was the Gareth Granger they described, he would accept the world's enmity. The problem was, he was innocent. It's outrageous. Gareth roared inside an abandoned building. These military bastards, turning black into white. He felt a wave of sorrow. Who did he offend? He just want to ask Leo for the mithril pistol. How did he become public enemy no. 1? He was practically a victim of last night's explosion too. Gareth looked up at the ceiling in despair, his eyes losing focus. In this moment, he was truly dazed. Why did I come to North Point? He murmured softly. If I stayed in NYC, my life would be better than this. Suddenly, he felt like the lunar amber wasn't strictly necessary anymore. But soon he snapped out of it. He had come this far. Giving up now meant carrying these black pots for nothing. Right. I, Gareth Granger, will not swallow this insult. His eyes turned firm. I must get the lunar amber, perfect my body, and make Leo Evans kneel before me and kowtow in apology. Talp! 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 Suddenly, footsteps approached. Gareth turned to look. At the corner of the stairwell, a figure stood silently. The person wore a black fox mask. Gareth Granger, the figure said slowly. Seven Tails mask. It's in your possession, yes? Gareth sat up straight on the sofa, narrowing his eyes. I have it. Is there a problem? Give it to me. The figure extended a hand. It's useless to you. Gareth scoffed. The man is dead. What do you want a mask for? The man is dead, but the mask isn't. The figure continued. Either give me the mask or destroy it. Gareth tilted his head. What if I do neither? Are you planning to oppose us? Don't be so tense. Is there a possibility? I want to join you. Gareth laughed. Since the guy named Seven Tails is dead, why don't I become the new Seven Tails? Silence fell. After a long while, the figure spoke. I will report this to the leader. But for now, you need to give me the mask. Gareth gave him a deep look. If he wasn't injured, he might have attacked. Boring. He pulled Seven Tails' mask from his pocket and tossed it like trash to the other person. The figure caught the mask and spoke again. Seven Tails is dead. I will represent the vulture in our future dealings with you. You can call me Nine Tails, North Point, military base. In the office, Commander Hayes looked incredibly conflicted. He had never been this torn. Colonel Grant, you're making this very difficult for me. In front of him, Colonel Grant had taken off his uniform jacket and was sitting on the sofa next to his wife, Julia. Hayes looked at Julia, his gaze even more complex. I suspected you, Colonel. I suspected Stone. I even suspected Old George. But I never thought it would be you. Julia kept her head down, her eyes desolate. Commander Hayes, I'm truly sorry. I am willing to take responsibility for my actions. Responsibility? Can you take it? Hayes shook his head. To save Spencer, you passed course secrets to the U.S. Do you know how many casualties our side suffered when those American androids suddenly appeared on the battlefield? Your child is a child, but aren't those fallen soldiers someone's children too? Hayes' voice raised involuntarily. Julia kept her head bowed, offering no defense. The atmosphere fell silent. No one spoke. After a long time, Colonel Grant finally spoke. I will bear Julia's fault with her. Hearing this, Julia looked up at her husband in disbelief. Grant, you don't say it. I've decided. Grant interrupted her and looked at Hayes. Commander, I have responsibility in this matter too. Julia is my wife. I didn't notice this happening immediately, which led to the disaster. Whatever punishment the military gives us, we accept. Hayes looked deeply at Colonel Grant, his eyes full of regret. He exhaled a long breath, staring at the ceiling, silent for a long time. Eventually, Hayes spoke. I will report Julia's case. As for the specific punishment, it depends on the higher-ups. However, given the severity of this matter, even if you were willing to share the burden, Colonel, perhaps. Hayes didn't finish. He believed that the moment Julia came here, she was mentally prepared. Grant nodded slightly. Thank you, Commander. He added, Major Shaw is a good kid. He will do better than me. Hayes nodded silently. Then, he slowly stood up and opened the office door for Grant. Colonel, for the time being, you and Julia will have to stay at the base. Hayes didn't use the word detain because, facing Colonel Grant, he couldn't say it. Grant breathed a sigh of relief, as if a burden had been lifted. He said to Hayes once more, Thank you. Ethelberg, inside an apartment complex. Click. A key turned in the lock, and the door was pushed open by a pale arm. Meow. Akatschiragrik sounded. On the balcony, a small white cat basking in the sun turned its head toward the door. Reggie. Ava waved her hand gently, then opened her arms. Come here, let Mommy hug you. However, Reggie remained motionless, squinting his cat eyes from the balcony. Meow. Who the hell are you? Meow. What are you doing in my house? Although Ava couldn't understand Reggie's words, seeing his reaction wiped the smile from her face. Heh, Reggie, you've gotten bold, haven't you? Haven't seen me in a while, and now you don't even recognize me? Perfect. Since I can't beat up your dad right now, I'll beat you up to vent my anger. With that, Ava marched straight to the balcony and reached for the cat. Meow. Wait. Meow. Mommy, I was wrong. Sensing a mortal crisis, Reggie finally snapped out of it. Because Leo and Ava had been gone for so long, he had completely claimed this territory as his own, failing to recognize Ava's scent immediately. However, admitting his mistake now was clearly too late. Smack! Ava scooped up Reggie and gave his furry but a swat. You ungrateful little white flea bag. I fed you so much good food. And I've only been gone a few days, and you don't know me. Meow. Reggie felt his nose tingle. Good food? Who raises a cat like you two? Remembering to feed me once a week? Do you know how I survived while you were gone? The kibble ran out ages ago. If it weren't for my reputation as Spike in the streets, letting me sneak out the window to hunt, I would have starved to death. Meow. To avoid further punishment, Reggie burrowed his head into Ava's arms, acting affectionate. Knock, knock, knock. Miss Ava, are you home? A knock sounded at the door. Ava turned. She knew the voice. It belonged to her family's bodyguards. Ava rubbed Reggie's head one last time before going to open the door. Rook Knight, what are you two doing here? Standing at the door were her former bodyguards and drivers. Miss, the master knows you're back, so he sent us to protect you. Rook smiled, wisely omitting Anthony Reed's original words. If Ava knew her father couldn't wait for her to leave for North Point, the Reed household would be in chaos. His news travels fast. Ava mumbled, then stepped aside to let them in. No need to stand there. Come in. No need, miss. We'll guard the door. They waved their hands frantically. Ava simply said, Come in. The two instantly turned into obedient chicks and walked inside. No need to change shoes. I'll have Leo clean up later. Ava grabbed 2 cups. What do you want to drink? Tea or coffee? This terrified them. The young miss making tea for them? No, miss, we aren't thirsty. Tea it is. Ava interrupted, brewing the tea. Sit on the sofa. Don't stand. Sitting on the sofa, Rook and Knight exchanged glances, feeling emotional. The young miss had grown up. She wasn't the same. Watching her act as a hostess, they felt the urge to cry. They had watched her grow up from childhood. Step by step, sensible, schooling, falling in love, getting married. It wasn't easy, Rook whispered. Only our son-in-law has the ability to tame the young miss. Yeah, Knight nodded. To think we once kidnapped him. I can brag about that for a lifetime. While they whispered, they failed to notice a small white cat on the sofa, looking at them like they were idiots. Then, the cat yawned, bored, and prepared to return to the balcony. Suddenly, Reggie's ears twitched. He turned his head slowly, staring at the door. Meow? Someone's there. Reggie listened carefully. He was certain there was someone outside. For Ava's safety, Reggie decided to investigate. Just as he took a step, he was scooped up. Reggie, long time no see. You've gotten fat. Rook held the cat, petting its head. Meow. Let me go. Don't you recognize me? I fed you back at the estate. Meow. Meow-ow. Let go. I have business. Are you hungry? I brought treats. Meow-ow-ow. Meow. Do you not speak, cat? I said let go. Seeing Reggie struggle, Ava frowned and scolded gently. Reggie, you're behaving worse and worse. Reggie looked dumbfounded. Meow. Forget it. Meow-ow. Whatever. Reggie was tired. He didn't want to deal with these idiots who couldn't understand him. Besides, the noise at the door was gone. Probably just a passerby. Meanwhile, downstairs, a plain-looking man walked out of the stairwell. He looked up, his gaze fixing on the second floor, on Ava's apartment. Then, he took out his phone and dialed a number. Hello. Confirmed. Ava Reed is back in Ethelberg. When do we move? Move on what? A strange voice suddenly sounded from behind him. The man jumped, and without looking back, bolted forward. Running, Kane grabbed the man's clothes and slammed him hard onto the ground. He quickly snatched the phone, but the call had been disconnected. Calling back yielded no answer. Who are you? Why are you tracking Ava? Kane demanded sternly. I'm just hired help. I don't know anything else, the man panicked. Kane sneered. Fina, if you don't want to talk, let's chat somewhere else. No. The man was knocked unconscious by Kane. Kane slung the man over his shoulder and walked toward his car while calling Anthony Reed to explain the situation. MH. Okay, I got it. Anthony hung up Kane's call, looked at the lake, and sighed deeply, his face full of worry. That's why I said, send the girl to North Point quickly. She's only safe by Leo's side. Here. I'm not sure I can protect her.